Mitchell, the leading scorer, with 37 points, also leading the team in assists with 8. Sam Money Merrill had himself a night from the 3, shooting 66.7% with 20 points, his season best. Kenny Atkinson on the pair's chemistry last night.
You know, they're real smart, but they got great chemistry. Listen, Don's his biggest supporter. Kobe and the front office, we had tough decisions to make, and they committed to Sam and committed to him long term. I think that's helped his play too. There's a real commitment there. He's not some guy trying to make it anymore. He's been a great starter for us.
Jalen Tyson, Darius Garland, and Max Strus were all out for the matchup. No word yet on when any of the trio will be back in action, but the Cavs will be back Wednesday with Kevin Durant and the Rockets inside Rocket Arena. The Dallas Cowboys finished Week 11 of the NFL with a 33-16 win over the Raiders in Monday night action, snapping their 2-game losing streak. With 4 passing touchdowns Monday night, Prescott has 41 career games with 3 or more passing touchdowns, breaking Tony Romo's franchise record for the most games with 3 or more in Cowboys history. Listen to the Fan Rewind weeknights 11 p.m. to midnight, all of the best segments from all of our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
The afternoon drive.
If he balls out in that game, Dylan Gabriel's no longer the starter anymore.
That is kind of why I thought he was so hard on himself after the game, including hanging his head on the bench, is I think he was worried that might be my only chance.
Might have been, and it really might have been. If Dylan comes out of this concussion protocol, there's no reason why Stefanski wouldn't go back to Dylan, his pet project, and there's no reason why Shedeur wouldn't have to then just sit back and wait. I really don't think they wanted to play him at any point this season. I really don't. Mm-hmm. And I think Shedeur knows that. He had a half of a game to impress in a big way to steal that job, and he just wasn't able to do it.
The afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
It's important that you do what you think is right for a football team. The development of our players is constant. It doesn't happen just in one drill or in one practice or one meeting. So we trust our guys. We trust our backup players to be ready to go, and Shedeur's ready to go. Obviously, I know he wants to play better. I want to coach better, all those type of things, but that'll come through work.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
I'm not going to speculate on that type of thing. I know this. We trust our players. We trust our guys to put in the work, and we're just going to be solely focused on this game that's in front of us.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. Hell yeah! Football time. Good morning.
What's up, Kenny?
It's good to see you. Hopefully this segment won't go as badly as yesterday's first segment did.
Why was yesterday's first segment bad?
I don't remember anything I said during it. That's how mad I was at one point.
You're trying to take it all in stride.
I do too. Shedeur is starting on Sunday. And the first thoughts I had, because I saw him struggle so badly on Sunday, was fear. I was struck with fear.
Fear?
Struck with fear.
What is to be afraid of?
I guess there's nothing to be afraid of. They're 2-8, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to lose another game, throw another log on the fire. However, there is a sense of, and I've said this, I've become a desperate man. And when people are desperate, like when you're in a mode of security, you can't believe, you ever see Trading Places? Mm-hmm. I can't believe Lewis would stoop to stealing salmon out of a party and stuffing it down his jacket dressed as Santa Claus. Well, he's a desperate man. This is what desperate people do. Lewis would have never thought of that. And now here you are, and I feel I'm basically I got the dirty beard, and we were in the playoffs once, and I've gone back into the club to steal the salmon and point a gun at everybody and swing around and go crazy with a bunch of fake pills and try to plant them on Eddie Murphy. Now I can't remember his character's name, and I love that movie. That's what I've become. I'm that character. And it's bad to feel that way. So I'm now finding myself in desperate situations. Like yesterday, we got in this huge knockdown dragout. And the whole crux of it was that, every time I say crux, you know what I'm thinking of. The crux of it is that 31 other teams ain't giving their backups any first team reps. But the Browns did. And when the Browns did, and I know, Baker didn't get any first. That was a different regime and a different time. But when the Browns did, it makes them open to that criticism. And like we texted Brian yesterday about it, who's going to join us this morning at 8:40. Volunteered his time. Thanks to Brian in Boston, who's going to come on, the great Brian Hoyer, who's going to join us this morning at 8:40. And I'm like, I know that's not the way the NFL works, but the issue is that the Browns are not like the rest of the NFL, and that's really the problem. Is we just don't do things the way functioning organizations would do them. And
there was a debate. There was a huge debate about that.
Every time we come close,
yesterday.
we don't really do it.
Well, a couple things. First of all, I'm not afraid at all because the Browns are playing a
Billy Ray Valentine. Thank you very much, Pumpkinhead. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
And his counterpart got to have a very, very nice evening with Jamie Lee Curtis. So it wasn't all that bad. He was desperate, but it wasn't all that bad.
Louie!
So
can't believe she got into bed stark naked with him, and he was like sick. I'm like, what are you doing?
In her
You're
prime.
get sick, dear.
In her prime. Not Jamie Lee Curtis from The Bear. Very different Jamie Lee Curtis.
I don't care. Jamie Lee Curtis in her prime or Jamie Lee Curtis out of her prime is perfectly fine with me.
So here's why. Maybe it's because I've gone into the Shador thing with the lowest of expectations. He's a 5th-round pick. Jason Lloyd had reporting over the weekend that this was a redshirt year. They weren't going to play him. That's how much of a project they thought he was. Looking around the league, like a lot of people were like, yeah, this he was never supposed to play right away. He was never supposed to play and be ushered in to start this early in a career. That's how raw he was. That's how much of a contrast this was going to be from his life at Colorado, where it was a very, very different setup for him. That is where I was with Shador. I never came into this thinking, especially after the combine, when people were like, whoa, this is not a first-round pick. This is not a top 10 pick. This isn't even a first 2 days pick. This is somebody who you put on the shelf and hope to develop over time. So that's where my mind was, even though we talked about him a ton. That's where my mind was the whole time. So that's why this week I'm like, they're playing the Raiders, bad team. You have another full day to get ready for them. You saw how bad they looked last night. And he gets a full week with the full reps. Like, this to me is like house money in this situation. I didn't go and buy a Shador Sanders jersey. I'm not living and dying with every snap and every call at the line, the cadence on whether or not the offensive lineman can even hear him. So for me, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it on Sunday. I am not life or death on this guy. I'm certainly not going to be life or death in his first start as an NFL game. I'm going to go into Sunday assuming he's going to be bad. And if he's good, well, you know what? This is going to be some fun, over the next month, maybe more. That's where I'm at.
You're not going to be hopeful?
I'm not hopeful.
Because if you assume he's going to be bad, it's like you abandon hope.
Yeah, I have no hope. Because
216-474-0092. Do you assume he's going to be bad on Sunday? Do you abandon hope?
They have.
I'm dead serious.
They have 2 first-round draft picks next year. Like my guess is, and when they took him in the 5th round, I'm like, it's a flyer. He's not a part of the future of the Browns. But that's very different from his fans and a certain fraction of the Browns community who are treating him like every draft pick we've ever had. Yes, he has a superstardom. There is a gravitational pull to him that I talked about yesterday that most guys don't have coming in the league, let alone 5th rounders. Man, guys in the 1st round. J.J. McCarthy didn't come into the NFL with that kind of aura, and he was a national champion at Michigan. So this has always been a different guy, but I'm trying to have like a tunnel vision about it. Like, all right, 5th round guy, very raw, around the league. I mean, you could see it. Yesterday, I told Ken this. I said, I scoured all the football guy podcasts. The guy, and then the analytical guy podcast. It's so funny. Shador was an afterthought yesterday, except on the debate shows. On the debate shows, it was a big deal. On the football podcast, the Smart Guy podcast, they're like, we're not talking. It's a 5th round pick. He's not supposed to be good. Why are we wasting oxygen?
I'm interested you brought that up because I got to tell you, like the Nate Tice's of the world and things like that, which I subscribe to Nate Tice's podcast and he does good work. See, that's
Robert Mays, Bill Barnwell.
I got to admit, if we were in Pittsburgh
Breer and Connor Orr,
or we were in Chicago or something like that, I don't think that you and I would be discussing this matter whatsoever. I mean, it would be Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph. It would be Caleb Williams. Has he turned the corner? Ben Johnson, or is this team for real? Which, by the way, boy, they're 7-3, looking pretty damn good, I got to tell you. And I was worried about that offensive line in Chicago. But when it comes to like those guys, like, listen, you really, like Nate Tice. Nate Tice was an assistant. Nate Tice was a high-level college quarterback. His father was a head coach in the NFL. You know, I went to Nate Tice's stuff before Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
So does Nate Tice need to get involved in the Shedeur Sanders stuff and deal with everything? No. We do, because he's right here. He's here in Cleveland. And because, again, I toy with the desperation of trying to find a way out of this mess as quickly as possible, knowing that it probably ain't going to go that way. Like I remember things that I've said to you, and I remember telling people, and I said this again yesterday, is where, like, if they never would have played him, if he would have never played, I would have to assume, I'm a desperate person, the team is very desperate for a starting quarterback, I would assume that he wouldn't have it, and that you would go on in a different direction for a quarterback. And in fact, I'm like, hey, every mock draft, every time I sit down with the pencil and paper and write the things down, it's like I got quarterbacks that I'm looking at. And until he proves differently, I'm going quarterback until proven otherwise, instead of until proven otherwise, I'm taking away a quarterback. Like, that's the way some people are looking at it. I'm telling you, people are looking at it differently. However, when I see him out there, it's like this, okay, maybe he'll do it. Maybe he'll be that guy. And then when he didn't do it on Sunday, and he really didn't do it on Sunday, I'm like, oh, God, it's just another one. And now my favorite team's going to get skewered. Now people I like are going to get skewered. And hell, I even looked at it and I go, why did you do the things you did? Like, I came to your conclusion a couple months later. Remember, you were ripping. Why are you guys calling this a competition? This is no competition. Why are you guys running with 4 quarterbacks? You should not be running with 4 quarterbacks. Why are you doing things and giving one guy reps with the... You said this. Why are you giving reps with one guy with the first team and the other guy's not, but you're still calling it a competition? It's not a competition. Why is he here then? Why would you do these things? And how are they not going to blow up in your face? And they blew up in our face on Sunday. And I don't think the fallout is over, because I think that this Sunday, I'm like, how far behind is he? And how much can he really catch up in a week? Because the Raiders are bad. I don't know how much of the game you saw last night. I saw the Cavs.
That was an instant skip last night.
I saw the Cavs next to the game last night. I put the Peacock audio on because I was like, oh, let's try out the Peacock audio. I left the Peacock audio on, but from what I saw, it's like Myles Garrett could have a hell of a day on Sunday. And he's had some great days already. He could. I said they could do better with orange barrels out there as an offensive line. The Raiders can. I think that this could be a real bloodbath. But the Raiders on the other side, it's like I'll just blitz everybody until he proves me otherwise.
Right.
I will just. I mean, 0 blitzes. Forget it until you prove me otherwise. I'm sending all 11. I may just do it because I think that Zach Orr, you could tell he just went bleep it. Like, there was a little bit of like, let's see. And then third down came, and then he goes, oh, I can blitz on every down? We're going to blitz on every down. And that's what it was. And, I mean, he looked at the line of scrimmage, and there might as well have been 40 Ravens lined up on the line of scrimmage there on Sunday. Going back and watching that all 22 yesterday and seeing all that, there might as well have been 40, 45. It was all the Ravens ever. Yeah. Art Modell was standing on this line of scrimmage for all he knew. Like, that's how bad it was.
It was also funny. I mean, obviously, blitzes, and you hear the cliche term all the time, exotic blitzes. Like, everybody had the one play isolated to, like, prove that the Browns are some insanely incompetent team. And the football guys had to come in and be like, no, that's just how they disguise the blitz.
Uh-huh.
And... your quarterback is not directing, the blocking. He's not altering anything at the line of scrimmage because he hasn't seen anything before. So, and by the way, even if he had reps in practice, that wouldn't have changed things. You only get to know these things once you go out and play. I mean, John Elway famously lined up in his first game, incorrectly behind the right guard instead of the center. Like this stuff that reps in practice is not even really going to prepare you for.
So I hope you can talk me into being free on Sunday. We got today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. We got 4 days, technically, because we just started off this show. I hope you can free my spirit because I'm dreading Sunday. I really am. It is.
I kind of like that it's a road game.
It is
by
not
the way.
good.
I kind of like that it's not at home just
I wish
because.
it was at 1 o'clock.
I mean, you saw. Yeah, I know. I don't like that either. You saw how Dylan Gabriel was getting booed. And by the way, that has to be one of the earliest times a rookie quarterback has ever been booed in his NFL career.
I heard Nick and Jonathan talking about that yesterday.
It has to be.
I don't think I think I agree with Nick on it. Where I think they were I think Dylan Gabriel is a vessel for them booing Kevin Stefanski and booing the Browns. I think they're just mad. They're mad that they're losing.
Yeah.
They're mad that the defense is playing so well. Browns fans know how good the defense is. You're seeing the defense play well. You made a great special teams play. Credit where it's due. I mean, it was fantastic. And you get to the ball at the 6-yard line. We can only get a field goal out of this thing. Like, you can't get the ball in the end zone from 6 yards out. And that's the way. And in the way I gutturally get mad at that, it's the same way a guy in the 537 got mad about that. And so, yeah, when you can't move the ball from the 6-yard line in after you've made such a great punt, points are at a premium. They spot you the ball at the 6. Kid, get the ball in the end zone. Find a way to do it, and you can't do it, and you look bad when you're trying to do it, like he got smothered while it happened. It's like, man, this is a waste of all of our time.
But
so people booed him.
That's why I'm saying I almost think it's better that this game is on the road. Even though I know there'll be a lot of Browns fans there, just because they whether their record was good or bad, people are making that trip, right?
Yes.
So you're still I saw 3-point underdogs in this game against that team I just saw last night look that bad. I just don't have any big-time expectations for this game, and I know that, again, it's probably going to mesh with your thing. Like, do you even care anymore? Like, well, we're on our third quarterback already.
I really care.
We are to the point where we've already been through Flacco. We've been through Dylan Gabriel. Look, I'd love it if this is the last quarterback of the year. I would love it if Shedeur, if there was some improvement each and every week and was able to get into a rhythm, and maybe he's able to find some cohesiveness with his receivers, and Tommy Rees can, figure out a play calling strategy that's going to work with him. But am I counting on any of that to happen? No, I'm not. I'm expecting it to probably look bad. Not even because I think Shedeur sucks or anything like that. Like, I didn't think Joe Flacco sucked, and it looked like he sucked in this offense a lot, no matter who. That's why I asked Shedeur fans last week, are you sure you want him to get in this situation? Are you sure? Because he was a 5th-round pick, and if he looks bad, that could be it for his career. Like, he's not going to get the opportunities that, like, a 1st-round pick that sucks right away would get. So I was like, are you sure? And it kind of was quiet last week, because I think some Shedeur fans were like, I know we think our guy is gifted, and we think he's coming here to be some pioneer of football / culture and relevance and fame and superstardom. But I noticed it got kind of quiet last week before he played, because people are looking around going, who's he throwing the football to? Who's the offensive line? Who's calling the plays on this Browns team?
216-474-0092. So your gut feeling, he's announced, well, it's not announced. Mary Kay reported that he's going to start on Sunday. What's your feeling of how things are going to go on Sunday for the Browns and for Shedeur Sanders? 216-474-0092. I want to get to some of you guys. And he may not think he's good, but Kevin doesn't want Shedeur to fail. We have some audio to play for you from a former NFL quarterback. As always, you can listen to this show or any of our local shows on The Fan on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Take The Fan wherever you go. Listen to us on the free Odyssey app, iHeart, or TuneIn apps. 8:40 this morning, Brian Hoyer joins us on The Fan. We'll talk about the proper way to bring up a quarterback on 92.3 The Fan.
Hey guys, it's Jonathan from my friend.
Report brought to you by Northeast Ohio Fence and Deck.
The best fences for the best property, and you're in luck with Northeast Ohio Fence and Deck. Hey friends, Ken Carman here for NEOFence.com. Aluminum, vinyl, custom wood, chain link fence, and so much more with a 5-year labor warranty on all new installs. NEOFence.com. Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Rex Ryan said what? Said what about Shedeur? Cam Newton said what about Kevin Stefanski? It might be getting a little bit crazy. Folks, you can listen to The Fan anytime, anywhere on the free Odyssey app or your smart speaker by telling Alexa to play 92.3 The Fan. Now you can find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima, 6 to 10 a.m. It's Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. Live each and every weekday, 92.3 The Fan on The Fan's YouTube channel. Subscribe to our channel and watch all the best content from your favorite shows on The Fan each and every day for the rest of your life. Well, not on the weekends. But you get what I'm saying. Coming up at 8:40, Brian Hoyer going to join us on the show. Jordan Reed, Lima's buddy, ESPN draft scout, NFL scout, college scout. What can Shedeur do to get the nose up on this thing, or should we already be looking at some quarterbacks coming up in April? Jordan Reed going to join us at 9 a.m. from ESPN. John Greco going to join us, former Browns offensive lineman. What can Shedeur and the offensive line do for each other to make things successful on Sunday? That coming up at 8 o'clock. So the gut feeling of Shedeur is, I'm nervous. Lima is just free and easy. Lima's going, he's expecting him to do poorly. He's expecting this to go poorly on Sunday, and he's just going to go in with an open mind.
Well, especially not just any quarterback I would expect. I would expect a 5th-round pick to not look good. I would expect one that we've been hearing all along, way behind, has to make a lot of that stuff up. Remember, I had the conclusion I drew from a week ago was, why isn't, with as bad as Dylan Gabriel's playing, why am I not hearing from every orifice of the Browns facility, why am I not hearing that, wait till you see Shedeur? Because they all knew he was behind too. That doesn't mean he can.
Now wait a minute.
Cannot
You didn't
get
just say he has a magnetism.
He does, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, he's a celebrity figure that even if this football thing doesn't work out, I think that guy will be successful in whatever he ends up doing. The fact that he's amassed this kind of following,
and very strong.
And look, there's a lot of famous guys who have kids that are not famous. So it's not just a Dion thing.
Yeah.
Clearly Shedeur has that effect to him. And when you heard about from Myles Garrett, how he, after he played like that, 4 of 16, he admitted how poorly it was, even with all the reasons, all the excuses, all the justifications, and a lot of them with merit. Yeah. I mean, he had a lot working against him coming into the game like that against Baltimore in a one-possession game. I liked what I heard from Myles Garrett about Shedeur. Kind of came off as a leader to me. Hey, I was really bad, and I'm going to talk in front of the group. That takes something.
Again, this is what messes with my heart and with my head, because I need leaders so desperately. I see a guy like Carson Schlesinger on defense. I'm like, dude, this guy is putting himself together with staples here, and he's playing at a very high level. He's the rookie player of the year on the defensive side. I'm begging for a guy to go in there and police the locker room and be a leader and hold people accountable. Sorry, Myles, we're 9 years in. He's not that guy. I'm begging for somebody to do that, and I see a bright future with him. And then when I hear you say it about Shedeur, I'm like, yeah, you got everything, except you can't make the read after the first read. We gotta figure out a way to get past that, because it's okay, you had Isaiah Bond open, you overthrew him, then you throw a dart, and it was a great play by Chidobe Awuzie to break it up, because it was right there. I'm like, if we could just get the target, and then I get desperate. You hear how I am, because I'm like, that might be onto something. A guy who can bring people along. I dare I quote Hugh Jackson, the Pied Piper, when he was going to watch Baker Mayfield. These are the type of things that you need, but if he can't play the position, he can't play the position. So you can be a guy who really can get people behind you, but if you can't do it, I'm sorry, there's no room here for you, and we have to move on. So this is what makes Sunday very difficult for me. And I think what clouds it is, I have to remain, I don't want to turn this personal against Dylan, and I don't want to turn this personal against Kevin, and I don't want to turn it personal against Shedeur, because I don't think that Shedeur or that Kevin wants Shedeur to fail. And I got a clip here coming up in a moment that might say something like that. But when it comes to Rex Ryan, who I heard yesterday, I don't think that Shedeur is some goofball that doesn't deserve anything. And boy, Rex Ryan just seems to have it in for Shedeur Sanders, it seems.
He's got to get over himself too. Like he's there by himself on the bench
at the end of the game.
I've seen it in the 7th game of a World Series when you lose a game or whatever. This is a pillow fight game. Nobody cares.
He cares.
Sit back.
He cared.
Yeah. Did he care? Or are you trying to make it a show, make it about yourself? You got a guy over there that, by the way, is a 2-time MVP. Right there, Lamar Jackson. He was looking for you. These are your teammates. And talk about, I'm not comfortable losing. You think anybody in that locker room is? But I want to see, is it Shedeur or is it the coach? Who the hell's at fault here? Because there's a disconnect.
So Rex Ryan's a guy on ESPN. That's audio courtesy ESPN. And I respect Rex Ryan as a head coach. Don't get me wrong. But let me tell you this. I don't think I'd believe him even if Shedeur Sanders wasn't the quarterback for the Browns at that time. I think it was hitting Shedeur Sanders just how hard this really is. And just how hard this is really going to be. And I think it's one thing to have confidence in yourself and, hey, we're doing this and we're working hard and I'm doing this, but to know how to work and to know how it's going to come at you in the NFL and how different it really is. How different this league is from anything you've ever seen in college. I'm not taking shots at the Big 12 or SWAC or anything. I mean, it's everything. The SEC and the Big 10, just how different this league is. I totally disagree with Rex Ryan. I was like, that guy was crestfallen on that sidelines on Sunday because I'm thinking he came to a realization this is bad and I'm in for it now and I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch up with it. And I think that he was evaluating himself there at that moment. And that's what makes me a little bit nervous for Sunday. On the other hand, I hear Cam Newton later on First Take on ESPN, and he says this about Kevin Stefanski.
I do not think Kevin Stefanski wants Shedeur Sanders to succeed in Cleveland. Don't tell me what he said. Don't tell me what he's saying. I'm going off of actions. The actions is if I'm Shedeur or if I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan, I would not want him to take the field because that's going to consistently be the display we're going to see. It doesn't matter if it's Deshaun Watson. It doesn't matter if it's Shedeur Sanders. It doesn't matter if it's Dylan Gabriel. It doesn't matter if it's Dan Orlovsky. It doesn't matter if it's Cam Newton. You need help in Cleveland. They are not a good team. Right. But this is the thing that really irks me the most is because he doesn't get any reps. You plan for the what ifs in this league.
So that's weird because that's an ESPN guy, and that's also a former NFL quarterback who's talking about the reps. Everybody and their brother saying second-team guys don't get reps. But again, I'm just trying to hold the franchise accountable when you say it's a 4-guy competition. And people have taken that and said, well, no. You said 4-guy competition. I'm going to hold your feet to it. Then you went out and you gave the backup reps. When you really don't give the backup reps. Well, Joe Flacco didn't need him. He's 41 years old. Okay, so we just move goalposts here, there, and the other. But when it comes down to making the argument against Sanders, well, that's not how the NFL does it. Oh, it's not, because that's how the Browns have done it. So the rest of the NFL doesn't do it that way, but the Browns do it that way. However, I don't think Kevin Stefanski wants any quarterback to be unsuccessful. His method about going about it might be the wrong method. I mean, his job may very well be in jeopardy because of that. But I don't think that he sees a quarterback and just wants him to be unsuccessful and doesn't want that guy to be good. The method, though, may be called into question.
Look, I think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to sit there. I mean, just sometimes you got to, Cam, I enjoy watching Cam Newton sometimes. Sometimes you just got to look in the mirror and say what you're about to say before you say it, and then think about how it sounds when you're by yourself. A coach of an NFL team who's desperate. I wish I would
have done that many times.
Who's trying to save his job.
Yesterday morning.
Mind you, I think everybody knows Kevin Stefanski's up against it here. I mean, this is the arrow is pointing towards he is going to be relieved of his duties at the end of the year. Kevin is going to want to stay here. He's gonna want to make this work if he can make it. He's got Myles Garrett on his football team, looking like one of the best football players, not just defensive football players. He looks like one of the best players in NFL history.
But there's also
right now.
Hold on,
I just want to get to this real quick.
Go ahead.
Like the notion that if there was some miracle worker on the bench who could save all of this for Kevin, that he's gonna opt out of that and go with worse players and get worse players ready. It's fantastical. It's just how no coach in that league would try to operate. Like Kevin would just resign if that were the case. He wouldn't stay here for the rest of the year and then have people call him a saboteur or a racist, which I've heard people do over the last few days.
Kevin's not that.
Like, so I just would opt out of that. I'd rather not have my professionality impugned by people, a lot of ex-players I've seen, and not his ex-players. I'm talking ex-NFL players. And so I just can't fathom that. Can it be, isn't the more realistic conclusion here that he's just been trying to prepare the other guy and thought the other guy was ahead of him? Well, so regardless of what me and you think, and we think the guy stinks and doesn't have a future in the NFL, but isn't it more realistic if we say it out loud, especially in the mirror, before we go on national television? Isn't it more likely that he's just trying to get the other guy ready before the backup, who he doesn't think is ready, who Jason Lloyd says he's trying to redshirt?
Well, let me take it a step further. Let me take it even a step further here. Is that, I can go back, and I'd like to even examine that, because I keep bringing up, Dylan Gabriel camp reps, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I go, did he have a notion that this is going to stay and that they were going to move these guys and that he might have to prepare a quarterback before he really wanted to? Is that part of that as well? Like, if you're trying to cover, if you're trying to cover all your bases like that, was that a possibility there that he was trying to make sure that he got ready for? Was that it? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I just know, listen, some of what Cam Newton says, I have to agree with. The offense is terrible. Again, if we're focusing on Isaiah Bond as a number 2 wide receiver right now, who did not have a terrible football game, but that's not setting a high bar. If we're relying on him as a number 2 right now, I mean, we're in a little bit of trouble here. And if we're celebrating the return of Cedric Tillman like we were last week, that we're going to be in a little bit of trouble here. And so that's still a roster building argument. That goes against who built the roster. Kevin and his methods, I think a lot of people are looking at it going, what have you done? What are you doing right now? What have you done? What are you doing right now with some of these quarterbacks that, you had yourself a heater, but what's going on right now? And I think a lot of things are being called into question. But the whole ego thing, when it comes to Kevin, I'm just not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe it. And if that means that I'm putting my head in the sand, that's fine. I mean, seeing the guy, knowing the guy, I just don't think he's that guy. I think there's plenty of head coaches who are going to do things their way because it's ego. And I think that they're in love with their process. But I don't think that he wants any player. He may disagree on how they get from A to B, but I don't think he wants any player to not be successful. 216-474-0092. How do you feel going into this one with Shedeur Sanders? Are you feeling bad, like me? Are you feeling like it's house money, like Tone? How do you think Sunday's going to play out? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
It's Anthony Lima.
It's a song about the best mayo. It has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
There's only one place for a full recap of practice in Berea. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. 92.3 The Fan.
John Greco, 8 o'clock. Also, we're going to say a good thank you and a hello to our friend, and we're thankful that he's still with us. That's at 7:20 this morning. Sports Talk 92.3 The Fan. It's presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday, all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Also, Brian Hoyer, 8:40 this morning. 216-474-0092. So I'm feeling nervous about Sunday. I'm worried about Sunday, basically because, like, Lima's looking at, I think your way is much healthier than mine. Your way is much healthier than mine. Because at the beginning of this season, I'm like, hey, we got 2 quarterbacks. That's fine. 2 young guys. We'll see how it floats. We'll see where it goes. And we'll probably go after a quarterback next year in next year's draft. Now, that was before the college season played out, because now it's like, and I'm not one of these guys going, well, you can't take a quarterback now. They're all garbage. No, one of them's bound to hit. It's the NFL. It's the draft. One of them's bound to hit. I'm not going to be afraid of it. I'm afraid that they're probably going to pick the wrong one. And
I'm more.
There is.
Wait, real quick. I'm more afraid that I'm going to pick the wrong one, because at some point, when I'm somebody who is like, man, I wanted Deshaun Watson, and he comes here and he turns into the worst quarterback in the NFL. Like, I don't want that to happen again.
Wear it.
And I was thinking, like, man, I really like Mendoza. And we're going to have Jordan Reed, who was at that Penn State, that unbelievable last drive where he was shaky throughout that game. And I'm like, do I really want to make that the guy that I'm tethered to throughout the whole process? Like, am I sure about that? And so that's why it is interesting. Like, yeah, the Browns can get it right or get it wrong, but I want to get one right here coming up.
Okay, well, we'll get that figured out, because I don't know how well they're going to do on Sunday. They're 2-8 going into this football game. And my issue becomes, though, it's like, man, I want to get lucky. I want to be the team that gets lucky. I want to be the team that has that guy that people passed on, and that's it. But I can't force it. And it looks like, I don't think that if you were to ask Kevin, I don't think he wanted to play Dylan Gabriel that early. I know he doesn't want to play Shedeur Sanders this early. I think the clock's been sped up on him. And I disagree. There's some things I absolutely have to agree on with Cam Newton and what he said on First Take, where he's talking about there's no one around him. There's very little around him. You got Harold Fannin that shows some promise. David Njoku's playing banged up. The offensive line is in tatters. There's a lot of things that aren't that good around him. And I still am tasked with him. How do I make my read? How do I check off the first read and go to the next read without having to bail? Because it was a lot of the same things that you saw at Colorado that played out on Sunday. And the difference is like, hey, no matter what conference you're in, they're going to be better than that. It's the NFL.
Yeah.
It's the best of the best. And so that's what makes me nervous, going, okay, you got a week to get ready. How much of the offense can you really change to get ready and make him comfortable? This may be very well one of the greatest coaching jobs of all time.
Yeah.
Because you got to make this offense change within a week and make this quarterback comfortable. And if you do it, I have to give you a ton of credit to do so, and I might be feeling a lot better about the quarterback. Because, again, they're the ones that leaked it out there.
Sure.
They said it. So I'm only trying to hold
here's the thing.
Their words accountable to them.
Here's the difference here. I do think, and there's a million different situations you could be thrown into, and so that was not ideal. Obviously, the last game, hey, we saw a couple throws that you're like, all right, look, that's an NFL throw. The one to Fannin was an NFL throw. The one in the end zone that got broken up, NFL throw. So at least he's working with something. Yeah. I'll tell you, there's got to be something that is so different about having the whole thing, the script switched with knowing you're the starter. You can say you're taking mental reps. You can say, hey, I'm getting ready mentally for this stuff. But that's way different from, dude, the starter is in concussion protocol. He's probably not going to be ready this week. Prepare to be the starter this week. And that means everything you do, your behavior from the moment you walk into that building, from your behavior online, from your just 24/7, you're the guy. I don't know if you're going to be the guy the week after. I don't know. But for this week, I hope Shedeur was watching that game last night and was not on Twitch or, paying attention to anything else. He should have been acting like the starter. He should have been dialed in, watching that game, scouting the Raiders, and going through all of that as I'm going to be the starting quarterback this week. It's time to act like it.
You're 100% right.
That's a different thing.
You're 100% right. Let me get to Dustin in Miami, Florida, home of the Rockies. Next up on the Fan. Hello, Dustin.
Good morning, boys. Yeah, I'm not nervous going into it. I hope it's, by the end of the week, regardless of what happens, it could potentially just be over, and that's great. He's going to get a full week to prepare. We're 7 months deep in Shedeur daily content, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, all things Shedeur. That's great. We have paid professionals who got him in a room and said, at the combine, and said, yeah, this might not be the guy. We had scouts that said this might not be the guy. We had every single franchise pass over him like 4 or 5 times over. He's a day 3 selection. Perhaps not the guy. I understand. You got an outlier here and there. You got a Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. You got a Brock Purdy in the 7th round. And yeah, Ken, I agree. Yeah, it would be nice to one time get lucky, or it would just be nice to one time just get it right. And when 90% of the league is essentially telling you hey, this isn't the guy, and then the Browns, even though it's the Browns doing it, decide that they're going to select another guy ahead of him and then give him the reps and the ability to do it. And heck, the other day, guess what? He left the game with the lead. The other guy came in completely unprepared, apparently. Couldn't even put up a point.
Well, you're right, Dustin, because I got to do it in steps, because I think a lot of fans will go, yeah, well, you got it right once, and look what happened. It's like, well, okay, I got to get it right again, and then once I think I got it right, then we have to discuss how to bring him along so we don't make the same mistakes we did with the other guy that people keep throwing in our faces, and rightfully so.
Ken, yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with what you're saying in that regard, but again, when everybody's telling you, hey, this guy is not him, and here's the reasons as to why, and we still don't want to necessarily believe it, maybe that's us. Is that just our illusion?
That he's not? Yeah. Yes. Are you saying it's our illusion that he's going to be good?
No, that he is who he is. He just like Ken, you even just said to yourself, well, this is the same guy that we saw at Colorado. Yes, it was right in front of our face.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going. He has to substantially improve. He just can't get incrementally better
Dustin,
to actually be an NFL pro quarterback. He has to substantially get better, Ken.
We are at a total, and thank you for the call, we are at a total crossroads here of what he is. I mean, we are flirting with media creation to where that this conversation will be studied. Again, Mel Kiper Jr. nearly coming to tears on the set on ESPN because he didn't get drafted in the 1st round and then didn't get drafted on night 2. Mel Kiper Jr. knows what he's doing. You guys want to put him in the Hall of Fame, for crying out loud. So we are reaching a crossroads, and I don't think that all this is decided on Sunday necessarily, but you start to really get your returns on Sunday. And we will be examining this. This will be something that, yes, if he fails here, we will move on to the next quarterback, and we will pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and try it with that guy. But this situation will be studied for years to come. What led to him being inflated to be a top 5 pick, to falling to a 5th round pick? What led to all of this? Was it just because of his magnetism? Was it just because of the type of fan base that he has, where he has he's probably one of the most popular quarterbacks to ever play the position in college football history? And you think about some of the guys who had massive fan bases, he's right up there amongst them. And there's been plenty of those guys. They weren't very successful in the NFL. And he might be the latest one. We'll start to get those returns on Sunday. But how do I take a guy like that and make this a successful situation in the NFL? How do I get him to the first step of where, okay, I can't just blitz the hell out of him on every single drive. I can't just do that on every snap. Now I have to take advantage of certain things and play some tactics with him. How does he beat certain coverages? How does he do that? How does he see through the progressions? Sunday isn't the end-all, be-all, but it's a giant first step. 216-474-0092. Folks, you can take our listener our show on all our local shows on The Fan, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, or take The Fan wherever you go. Listen to us on the Odyssey app, the free Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app. 720. We're blessed beyond belief that our friend is still with us. Coming up in 5, if we're talking about fairness, I think Dylan has a legitimate gripe. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, take us with you to work on the absolutely free Odyssey app. Friends, Ken Carman here for Northeast Factory Direct and Northeast Factory Direct.
Listen to the Fan Rewind, weeknights 11 p.m. to midnight, all of the best segments from all of our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
John Greco, 8 o'clock, coming up in just over 20 minutes. We are blessed beyond belief to have our friend still with us. And that's not just a friend of Tone and I think that's a friend of just about everybody in Northeast Ohio, because he's met just about everybody in Northeast Ohio. Even if they're a Steelers fan, the Steelers fans seem to like this guy. That's how popular this man is, how beloved this man is, and well-liked this man is. Twitter's down, so social media reactions brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Should we?
I'm
should
sure
we
I'm
do
getting
it?
made fun of.
Kenny,
What?
should we do it?
What?
Should we go to the chat? Should we go to the YouTube chat?
I don't think you want to go to the YouTube chat right now and go to some of the comments that are on that. I'm sure it's just a knockdown, drag-out horror show right now.
Okay.
You can go right on ahead.
I will say, so yesterday, I might have done some things on social media to have some fun with the Shador fans.
No.
But I really thought, and you correct me if I'm wrong.
I'll correct you.
I thought I was very measured. I think people thought I was going to come on and say that Shador doesn't belong in the NFL, that was the most humiliating game in NFL history for a quarterback.
I did accuse you of wanting to take a victory lap yesterday.
And you know what? I thought, why would I do that? Why would I do that? I don't think any NFL player, I'm trying to be fair here. Yes, I think the odds are stacked up against him, but I do think he has the arm talent to at least have the door cracked open. It's one half of football in which clearly was not ready to play. Not his fault.
Okay.
I'm not blaming him.
Yeah.
And I do think, I thought about it yesterday over the last day because I said, Dylan needs to get all the reps. He's the young starter that you made a top 100 pick investment in. But I did listen to a bunch of guys yesterday, and we're going to have Brian Hoyer on later. Are there not enough hours in the day to tack on 10 plays at the end of every practice for somebody like Shador? Like, I get you don't want to break into practice when you're trying to get Gabriel ready.
Ask Brian. You're going to have to ask Brian.
Yeah. Is there not enough time? Like, would guys like David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy be like, oh, man, I got to stay at practice for another 10 minutes? Would they? I don't think they would. I don't think they'd complain. Would Myles Garrett be huffing and puffing? Come on, coach.
The only thing I would think of...
Is there that big of a deal?
The only thing I would think of is that what does it take away from the rest of the day? Because it's not just the practice. I mean, you have
smoothie time. They have smoothie time they got to get to.
You have meetings and you have a walkthrough. You have a walkthrough before, then you go in and you have your meetings and you eat and you lift or whatever. And then you go in and then you get ready for practice. And then after practice, you may have some more meetings. I mean, they have an entire itinerary there that they have to go through in the day. So if it does run long, like there's been several times where running practices, you've seen them, if there's something that needs to be done, there's coaches who go, you're wasting time. You are wasting all of our time here. This is a waste of our time. We're not getting better because we have to correct all this other stuff.
Also, Kenny, you're 2-8. Like, wouldn't it be easy to justify getting some extra reps? You're a bad football team. You're a losing football team. You got guys jumping off sides with the game on the line. Like, we can't work a little bit more. I know it's all about. I know Kevin. Honestly, we've talked to Kevin off the air, and he would be fine with us sharing this.
You sure?
Like, yeah, we would. Kevin thinks it's crazy, and thought it was crazy. And this is when he won Coach of the Year, so he could say freely things like this. He thought it was crazy, the mentality that there used to be in the NFL when it was the coach has got to be in the office 20 hours a day. He's like, that's not working smart. He did say it on the air. Okay,
he said that on the air.
Working smart. Sometimes matters more. But you know what? Working an extra 10 minutes. I felt bad. I got into it with Daryl yesterday. It was his birthday yesterday, and I got into it with Daryl. Oh, that's sad, Daryl.
There's no special days here.
I should not have done that.
No.
Well, we're acting like a 2-8 football team. We need the work, so you're not going to get that. So I felt bad when I got off with Daryl, and I texted him afterwards, going after him on, well, Dylan Gabriel got the backup reps with Flacco. Why wouldn't Shador? And now I think about it, and I've had another day to react, and I've seen Was it Chase Daniels? Was he the quarterback?
That's our boss.
Who's the one I'm thinking of?
There's Chase Daniel, the former quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll never get that right now because we work for a guy who has almost the identical name. Come on.
Chase Daniels.
Yeah, so
with an S at the end.
So even Deion Sanders Jr. quote tweeted him and said, "This is a fair breakdown." And he was very critical of Shedeur, but all these former quarterbacks have all said the same thing. This is not a league of you getting all this fair treatment. Like, there is a meritocracy here. And I know people say, well, why did Dylan Gabriel? Well, Dylan Gabriel got drafted ahead. Sorry, as you always say, sucks to be you. Sucks to be you to get drafted in the fifth round as a quarterback.
Yes.
2 rounds after a guy got drafted in the top 100 in the third round. So I'm going back and forth with Daryl about this yesterday, and I saw Brian Hoyer, I saw Luke McCown, I just saw a bunch of quarterbacks say, guys, sorry, this is not a fair league. But also, you got a small quarterback going. You got Dylan Gabriel. Like, it was just a matter of time. He was taking all these hits. It was just a matter of time. So can't you tack on some time at the end of practice?
I'd like to think so.
I'll concede.
Here we are.
I will concede.
Listen to you concede.
I concede.
Don't you try. Don't you try to be.
And Daryl, I concede. I was wrong. I feel like there should be some time allotted.
Well, listen.
That's all.
Guys, I'm a big by the book guy because there's things that I don't know. Now, I think there's things that I know, but there's definitely things I don't know, and I try to acquiesce to the people who do. And if it were just backups don't get first team reps and that's it. If it were like that, then that's perfectly fine. But once you did things differently because you do things differently because you're the Browns, you open yourself up to that criticism. So all the people that want to see Shedeur Sanders or want Shedeur Sanders to get a fair crack at it, they get to go and criticize you for the mistakes that you've made as an organization. And I'm not going to sit there and defend it saying, well, they zig when other teams zag, like Andrew Berry says, because you're 2-8. If you were 8-2, I would be able to defend you on these things. But when you go, hey, we're the Browns, we do things a little differently around here. Maybe you should do things a lot like the other teams because you're 2-8. Clearly, what you do that's different ain't really working. Social media reactions brought to you by Shivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. So you wanted people to go to because Twitter's down, so you wanted them to go to the YouTube page and comment. All right, one is from KCAR8181. Lima, you've been stalking and hating on Sanders since 2011. You have no life. Answer the man, Tone.
Wait, Deion? Because I didn't know about his son. I didn't know about his son in 2011.
I have no idea. Knockout Hub says, R.I.P. Jeremy Piven. Jeremy Piven is alive. Uradalkia says, Mel Kiper is a dumbass. CLE fan CW27 says, fat boy Ken Carman. Can I tell you this real quick?
See, this is why I'm enjoying this look at it.
Yeah.
It's a little more raw.
I opened it up. I'd never open up the comments, and here we are. I'll tell you a real quick story. When I used to work at a pizza shop when I was a teenager. Second pizza shop story I've told this week already. And they had the owner's brother was the manager. The owner's name, the brother was Mike. Okay. And I would go in. I've been going to this pizza shop since I was like 11 years old. And he would be in the kitchen. He didn't care if there were customers in the pizza shop. I would walk in, and I swear to God, he would have like the pizza paddle, and he would just go, fat ass, as loud as he could in front of everybody. And I'd just be like, hey, Mike. How you doing? Good to see you.
Wait, that was your welcome?
That was my welcome, is he would yell fat ass, elongated.
They pull the curtain. Johnny Carson would come out and do his nods.
That's what he does.
Very different for you.
Yeah, he doesn't just stand and do the nods. He would yell fat ass. And it's not here's Johnny. It was fat ass.
Not Ed McMahon.
Yeah. So, guys, I haven't had a soul since I was 11 years old. So,
but I've seen the old pictures of you. You look like a beefy, I wouldn't even say husky.
It doesn't
I'd say you look like, and you told me your numbers.
I was heavier than all the other kids. Well, no,
you told me the weight room numbers.
But when I was 13 and 12, I was a chubbo.
Weren't you in the 1300 club? Which club were you in?
No, I was in Survivor. You get over 1,000 pounds, you got a Survivor shirt, which I still have, by the way, because that shirt's a trophy.
Yeah, you're not giving that up.
They'll pry that out of my cold, dead hands. I did 335 on bench.
Mm-hmm.
I got long arms. Not very good at that. What did I get on clean? I want to say clean was 225, but that's still.
Did you get a jerk in there? Were you allowed to jerk?
No.
Just doing the cleans?
No. The
good
squat,
high school Kenny.
The squat in high school was 575. I got up to 735 in college.
Guys, we're dealing with a specimen.
My back is wrecked.
Yeah.
My leg press.
Because who was squatting the right way in high school?
My leg press was 1350. These were the days, man.
You're telling
there
me
was a day, guys. There was a day.
You're telling me Wakefield wasn't on the fundamentals?
No. Oh, no,
For the squats?
Oh, he would come by, and we used to have the old school ones where you pulled the whole bar out. It was great. You would go, now we're talking old style stuff. So you would do this thing. We do max day, right? There'd be no music. It was just the sound of people screaming. And it was awesome because you would it was the best on the day where you did squats. And we had the old style big iron bars. And you would put the weight on. And I mean, when people were going like real heavy, like when some of the juniors and seniors, our buddy Ryan Jadell, RIP, great guy. He could squat and lift a ton. He was like 5 feet tall and he was just built like a brick, you know what house.
Were you listening to Prodigy?
There was no music. It was just screaming. It was just screaming.
Wow.
So you got 80 guys in there screaming their faces off, and everybody was gathered around one guy doing a squat. And the best part was you would spot. And so you'd get up, and it was always like a guy's buddy. So like when Jadell went to do it, Jadell did like 700 himself. So when he went to do it, like there would be one guy on each side of the bar, and then there'd be us pulling the pins, and it was so great because they'd go, all right, and there'd be this silence, and they go up, and you pick it up, and you'd hear the bars go shing outside, and that's when it got real because the bars would pull, and people would scream, and down, and then up, and the biggest thing was, are they gonna get it up? Or are they because there was bars at the bottom. And if you fell, like guys would just collapse, and the bar would hit
wobbly.
the bar would hit the
and
bars.
That's failure. That sound was failure.
And that could be a tough thing. That could be a scary thing. But no, he got it. I mean, he got it up. But it was awesome. Why am I'm sorry. You got me going down memory lane when I, wasn't a fat pig. There we go. Thank you.
But thank you for the chat. We appreciate the chat today.
You're welcome. Somebody says no weight belt, KC. Nope. And that's, why I've herniated disc now. But you know what? No regrets. Coming up at 8:40 this morning, Brian Hoyer going to join us on the show. Coming up next, he's our friend, and we're blessed beyond belief to still have him with us. And if someone's talking fairness, Tone, I think you and I are going to agree, Dylan has a hell of a case about fairness and what's unfair. It's coming up in 5 on The Fan. Window Nation and Window
from Woodland to East 9th. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
This report is brought to you by Tri-C's Creative Arts Programs. Turn your passion into a career. Tri-C's Creative Arts Programs offer a variety of opportunities. Students can explore programs ranging from design, art, theater, and film to recording arts and visual communications. Learn more at tri-c.edu/creative arts.
Whenever you need to talk college football, we've got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Getting trashed in the mentions. Ken, you sucked it. I go, I never said I was good at football. I wasn't weak. My son's already better than me. Already better.
But is he strong?
No.
I'll work on that.
It's one thing or the other with us, Carman.
Get him in the weight room. Let's go.
We'll see how that goes. Speaking of actual good football players, legendary football players, Bernie Kosar, he got his liver transplant yesterday. It's a big moment for him, big moment for Browns fans. Bernie yesterday spoke from the hospital bed after he had his liver surgery and his replacement. Surgery was successful. Here's Bernie.
Hey, I'm out and I'm feeling good. It's ready to enjoy the rest of the week and the rest of our lives. You matter.
He looks absolutely wonderful. I texted, he already looks better than he did before. He already looks better. The story about the person who donated the kidney, I could barely make it through it.
It's unbelievable. It really, truly is unbelievable.
What a noble thing. That is very powerful.
I should say his name. It's Bryce Dunlap, who passed away at the age of 21, and he was a registered organ donor, lifelong Cleveland sports fan. His parents opted to support one of the city's sports legends as his final act. Just incredible. Just an absolutely incredible story. Can you imagine anything more perfect than that in a tragic moment? Right? Like, this is the worst moment for his parents ever, and yet they could do something amazing in an unfathomable circumstance. And it got me too, Kenny. I was watching it, and my tears were flowing.
It was a very, very, very powerful thing. And so, now I'm not going to speak for all Browns fans, but I kind of want to. It's like, thank goodness for him. Thank goodness for his family and his charity to keep our friend with us, because it was a very serious thing. And, it's been a couple of bad falls with losing friends, and it would have been very, very awful.
And I just tell you, Kenny, as over the weekend, a lot of phone calls. A lot of people were trying to figure out, what is the situation. We had seen the videos, and obviously there's the amazing amount of hospital stays that Bernie has had. He had real issues with the bleeding that he was talking about, and his esophagus. This was a big time problem, and I've got some doctor friends who are like, this is quite literally life or death. There were people even in Bernie's corner who said this was pretty close, two different times in the last 2 weeks, to maybe not having Bernie around anymore. And so this was a crucial weekend, and it's a crucial 48 hours after you get this transplant to make sure that there's not a rejection. He had other livers that were infected, and then he had his bleeding situation, so it couldn't happen, and it looked like we finally had the perfect storm in a good way. And so it's just keeping fingers crossed, and the prayer thing, and whatever you do to try to help Bernie, to have him in your thoughts. This could be an amazing. It already has been an amazing story, but the whole city is thinking about him.
No, Browns fans all over the world, and even Steelers fans. I think a lot of people put down fandom and things like that, and they look at the humility of it and see what he means to the fan base, see what he means to the region. Again, always a good guy. I think that he's been even too nice to some individuals out there, because that's just the type of person he is, and he's just one of the best people that you could be. He's one of the best people that you could have around you, and hopefully this recovery here over today and tomorrow is going to go well, and hopefully he'll be back up upright and all right, because I said he already looks better, and in the face and everything. I'm like, man, hopefully this is going to go the right way, because it just wouldn't be the same without him here, and we definitely want more years with him. And hopefully that's what this is what got us. So, we're thinking of Bernie. I think everybody's thinking of Bernie. We all love Bernie. And we're hoping here by this time next week, we're going to be talking to Bernie here,
100%.
even by the end of the week, too.
100%.
Brian Hoyer going to join us coming up at 8:40 this morning. John Greco going to join us at 8. Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog coming up at 7:45, where there's another team that has a QB room that might be just as bad as ours, speaking about it. When we talk about fairness and we argue about fairness, and I've had a lot of people, hey, this is the NFL, I don't care about fairness. I think you do. I think you do. I think you want it to be fair because there is one, I think to a person, Browns fans, you may think that Dylan Gabriel is more capable right now, but the guy with the higher ceiling, I think to a lot of Browns fans, would be Shedeur Sanders. And in the end, neither of them could end up being anything for the Browns.
Odds are against it.
Odds are against it. But when we talk about fairness, Anthony, I'm hard-pressed not to go, hey, I know Shedeur Sanders fans are very upset about the lack of fairness, how unfair it seems that it's been to Shedeur Sanders. I think Dylan Gabriel has a hell of a case himself there, Tone.
So I really thought about this, and I give credit, afternoon show, Jonathan Pearlin had brought this up, and he's been Shedeur first and foremost. Shedeur should be getting the opportunities. This is going nowhere fast with Dylan, and honestly, Jonathan was ahead on that. So I heard him say this yesterday, and I'm like, well, if a Shedeur fan can say it, like, okay, let's think about this. How fair of a spot, if we're talking about fairness in these situations for these young quarterbacks? We've gone over Shedeur to death. How fair has it been to Dylan Gabriel?
Terribly unfair.
And I thought about that as he was getting booed on the very first incompletion.
You feel bad for him. You feel bad. I look at both these guys, and it's like, man, I think I'll probably find a time where I'll feel bad for both of them. But if you're Dylan Gabriel, you get taken in the third round. You're taken higher than what a lot of people thought you were going to be taken. You're a day 2 draft pick, to the point where a lot of people were shocked. And then they go and they draft the most popular player in college football the next day who happens to play your same position. You're automatically set up.
We can only find that had happened 4 times in modern day NFL history. One of them was RG3 and Kirk Cousins. But that was a first rounder.
And you could see this happening where in the spring and in the summer it was like, well, they're going to take their shots at different quarterbacks and we'll see before they get to the 2026 draft. That's always great when you say it before the season starts, but when you're mired in it, when you come off of a Sunday losing a game that you very well could have won against the Baltimore Ravens had your offense done anything, and you and I are taking personal shots at each other at 6 a.m. and I'm red-faced and yelling at you, it's a lot different when it's in practice and when it's in real life. And I'm looking at it going, Dylan Gabriel, I don't think anybody wants to sit there and boo Dylan Gabriel or thinks Dylan Gabriel's a bad guy or thinks he's some evildoer getting in the way of Shedeur or anything like that. It's just he's a quarterback that was definitely overdrafted to a lot of us that we don't understand and really has become, I hate to say it like this because it just sounds so mean, the embodiment of everything that they do wrong at the position, which is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to admit. It's awful, and I feel bad in that case. I shouldn't feel bad for a professional quarterback.
Yeah, they're all getting paid.
That made money in college, that's making money in the NFL, that should, if they don't ruin him, should have a decently long enough career even as a backup. But I'm going, you pay your money, you can boo. But it doesn't mean I feel good about it.
But then also,
I don't feel good about people booing him.
And again, it's a big boy league. It's not everybody gets thrust into a great situation. And obviously, both these guys are in a really weird situation. Yeah. You just haven't seen a team take a quarterback in the 3rd round and in the 5th round. And compounding it, Dylan Gabriel, like the assumption all along has been like he's just NFL ready. He's started more games than anybody else. He's NFL ready. And then you see him and it's like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy until you actually take the field and you have a shaky offensive line. They haven't had much of a running game at all. I think they've had 1 game all year where they've had a running game. And the receiving room is a joke.
And unless Shedeur is just pulling the wool over all of our eyes, and I don't think he is, I think Shedeur Sanders felt the same way we did. Like, yes, Shedeur wants to play. Yes, Shedeur is happy that he has a very strong fan base that adores him. But I don't think he feels good about the guy ahead of him getting booed. And I can't think he felt good
to it.
even going into it because he knows, like, hey, this is not a great situation that I'm in right now.
Oh.
And when I go in, it's not going to be a great situation. It's probably going to be even worse for him.
I thought
and
it was
Shedeur
great.
found that out on Sunday.
I thought it was great that Shedeur spoke to that, too. He didn't have to go out of his way after he had that performance to talk about Dylan and supporting Dylan. I thought that was awesome. From Shedeur. That's being a great teammate. That is being a leader.
Yes.
So I honestly, that would have been very easy for him to be all about himself. Sorry, Rex Ryan. Would have been very easy for him to be all about himself, and he wasn't. He was thinking about somebody else, and that he's been in the quarterback room with. And I just have to say, like, for Dylan, and obviously, you know how I feel about Dylan. I don't think there's much of a shelf life here as a starter in the NFL, and quite frankly, I don't even know if he's going to have the 10-year backup thing that many people have said. So I just think about what it must have been like for him. And again, it's a big boy league. Nobody's going to cry for him. But he has the moment of his life getting drafted in the third round. Mm-hmm. And he has, a full night to think about, how cool that situation is for him. And he's going to get a chance because it's the Browns. He's sure going to get a chance to play. And the process got sped up clearly this year, played way ahead of even where he should have played. And then the next day they take Shedeur. I can only imagine what he was thinking, like any other team but the Browns. Why did I get drafted by the Browns? It had to go from amazing storyline to, you got to be kidding me. And then you got to go to work. Like, eventually, no one's feeling bad for you. You got to just go to work. But I just think of it in this moment, like seeing Shedeur have those struggles, seeing Dylan have his struggles, and seeing Joe Flacco, who had those struggles to start out in the first 4 games of the year. Like, this is about as bad a situation as you could possibly draw up for all these guys.
Albert Breer posted the video of us yelling at each other, me yelling at you, basically, from yesterday, and said, what are we going to be saying about this in 5 years? And I think that Dylan Gabriel is the forgotten quarterback out of this. I think we'll remember, no matter what, we'll remember Shedeur for a long time to come. I hope we have a nice laugh over this in 5 years and we're in a much better position, but you can wish in one hand and you know what in the other. I think Shedeur, that's memorable. I think Dylan Gabriel will be the forgotten quarterback out of this. And I don't want to put him in like Johnny Justin Gilbert territory because it's like, hey, both were a mess and Gilbert ended up being a mess and, whatever. I don't think that he's going to do that, but he's going to be the forgotten guy. And we're going to remember, if anybody remembers him, as the guy who was just before the arguments over whether or not Shedeur Sanders could hack it or whether or not he was a good quarterback or whether or not the Browns were putting the screws to him or anything like that. That's what that's going to be remembered as. Unless Shedeur ends up playing exceedingly well, then maybe we're laughing over that. But I think a lot of people don't think that he is. And when we look back on this in 5 years, yeah, it's probably going to be a point where I'm looking at it like I was a desperate man at the end of my pitiful rope trying to find anybody that could get this thing going because I know I have a Hall of Famer on the team and I don't want to restart this whole thing all over again. So that's where I think it's going to be left at. But yeah, I think Dylan Gabriel's legacy, if there is one, is just the guy that was in the middle between Joe Flacco, who gave us a great memory in 2023, who started the season, and then Shedeur Sanders. And God knows what else is to come later on this year. Because he's got to start on Sunday, and who knows how long he's going to start. Whether or not they're going to go right back to Dylan Gabriel. That's always going to be a conversation. Like, it's not just he's the starter for the rest of the year. He's got to get himself out of the woods. Because I don't put it past Kevin Stefanski. And maybe by Sunday, he will prove he's right to put Dylan Gabriel right back in there as a starter. So this is where a lost legacy happens. And I think if we're talking about fairness, I don't think it's very fair the way that we've treated a lot of folks, but we're the media. We don't know any better, myself included. But man, Dylan Gabriel has a hell of a case for it. Coming up at 8 o'clock, John Greco going to join us on the show. Up next, the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog, a QB room that might be just as bad as ours, and Shedeur's house got broken into. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. Classic Auto Group.
Right. Lock in amazing fall deals for your new roof with Home Genius Exteriors. Get 50% off materials plus 0% APR and free attic insulation. Call Home Genius Exteriors at 855, the letter U, the letter R, Genius. See website for details.
Don't trust anybody with your Cavs coverage unless they have sports in their name. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
I saw some people had a beef with Kenny opening the show with the Browns, considering we just argued about this last week. The Cavs had a big win yesterday. Nationally televised big win yesterday, if we're calling, was it Peacock?
It was on Peacock and I believe the regional network, FanDuel.
Okay. They won the game. It wasn't pretty. Again, Donovan was amazing, was efficient, was getting to the basket, and Giannis left the game at halftime, which made things easier. But we led with the Browns. So we wanted to give the love to the Cavs because we just argued this last week. We'll get to that in a second. But first, we've got Rat Boy and Hog with Mitch Spinell. What the hell?
It's time for the Neutral Zone.
What the hell did I miss here? Sorry, go ahead, Mitch.
That's all right here.
And rip off the knob.
We'll start off here with some Brown stuff because we don't usually get to Brown stuff during the Neutral Zone. But this story that happened on Sunday, which was a tough day for Shedeur Sanders in his Browns debut, not only did he go 4 of 16 and lost the game, but according to reports, Shedeur Sanders is the latest professional athlete to have his house broken into. This puts him in the same category as Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. As
Shedeur's in the same category as Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
For the first time this season and probably not the last. I mean, this has got to be a tough situation for him all around, no?
It's terrifying.
It is.
I think it's absolutely terrifying.
It's scary. And a lot
especially when they don't catch the guy. So have they caught the person yet?
No, there's no suspected IDs at this time.
So you don't know they're still out there. It's
terrible. It is terrible. I always wonder, like, when these guys come into the league and the teams talk to them, you know, not every player can have 24/7 security. You'd think Shedeur could. You'd think he'd be in the category of could.
Did Joe Burrow move or did he consider moving?
I'm not sure.
I think he either moved or he's considered he's like, I can't live here anymore.
And obviously, you know, in any of these places, people can find out very easily where they live and they know when they're going to be at work. So it's because of that you wonder what kind of security situation are they going to have? And this keeps happening, and it's happening more and more to athletes.
This was via the Netflix show Quarterback. He considered moving after, but did not move after the initial break-in that he had.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
What a rough
goofing
start.
around aside. I'm a guy who likes to goof around. That's awful.
Tough situation all around. Speaking of Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, the Bengals not only lost again to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but bit of a situation between Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey that ended with what appeared on video to be Chase spitting at Jalen Ramsey. Now,
Stop the spitting.
Chase has been suspended for 1 game this season. It's not a great look again for the Bengals.
Why are we spitting at
I've
each
just
other?
never...
Happened in week 1 and now it's happening again.
Honestly, Kenny, I can't fathom a world in which I would ever spit on somebody. Save your jokes. I can't imagine a world where I would ever do that. And I get it. Maybe athletes, they are in a combative space almost 24/7. It's competition from the moment you get up.
Emotionally charged.
And in that sport, your safety is on the line. But these guys know they're getting suspended after what happened in the first game of the year, right?
Yeah.
Was it...
Jalen Carter was the first one, the big Thursday night opener.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't understand how this happens.
I think you just lose your cool. Something is said. Jalen Ramsey's gotten people worked up before, hasn't he? Didn't AJ Green take swings at him?
I think there's been a few players.
Yeah, so Jalen Ramsey's gotten people worked up before, so I'm sure that he's not completely
Why would you let... But the whole thing is,
but
don't let him see you sweat. Why are you letting him get under your skin in that way? Or is it just their team is so bad?
If the Bengals would have won, it would have helped work, but they didn't win because they got Jalen Ramsey kicked out of the football game for taking a swing at him, but ended up not caring anyway because they ended up losing the football game.
And Bengals are minus 106 point differential this year. That's second worst in the NFL.
They are serious poop.
And Flacco was terrible this week. He looked injured, too. Looked like he couldn't. His shoulders all messed up.
Might be his last career start, too, with Burrow coming back in as well.
Jake Browning. Is Burrow... what is the Bengals' record right now? Are they as bad as us?
But is there anybody in that organization who could tell Joe Burrow not to play? Nobody could tell Baker Mayfield not to play.
3-7. Okay, if they lose to the Patriots on Sunday, it's like, he ain't coming back.
But would that
on
be
the IR.
Would that be
We're
Joe
done.
Burrow? Could you possibly tell Joe Burrow not to play?
Yeah.
Well,
I'd say, what are you
who
thinking?
has the power in that building?
Anybody with common sense.
Didn't they sell the naming rights of that building just to pay for Joe Burrow?
Pay Corsair, yeah.
Probably, but at the same time, you go, Joe, what are you doing? If you lose, you're 3-8. You're 12th. You're right now. You're 12th in the playoff standings.
No, they're done.
So there is technically some sort of a chance, but it's exactly what you said. You're basically done.
Here's the thing. They're only 2 games back of the Ravens right now, and the Ravens are only 1 game back of the Steelers for the AFC North title. So it's not a strong division this year, but that's something that could at least give you a shred of chance for the rest of the season to bring Burrow back at least in play.
I guess, but I think it's exactly what Lima says. Especially, a good God, if you're 3-8, if you lose to the Patriots, there's no reason for him to play on next Thursday, other than ratings, other than his own personal edification. All you're doing is risking yourself getting hurt and then messing up 2026 as well.
Is the only thing. They have 2 Ravens games ahead. And they have the Browns the last week of the season.
Anthony,
so that's the only reason they might think they have a shot.
You get to a point where it doesn't matter. Again, if you lose to the Patriots on Sunday, what is the point?
I have another 3-7 team with a quarterback situation that I want to talk about here.
Go ahead.
The Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix Jr. was put on the IR yesterday with a knee injury that it's likely going to make him miss the rest of the season. Yeah. So not only do you have a crossroads at this point with the guy that you drafted, 2 years ago, you now have this $180 million backup in Kirk Cousins that you tried to ship away last year. I know the Browns' quarterback situation is a little bit worse. How much, though, is it the difference between that and the Falcons?
Oh, they're at the table. I'll see you at the crossroads, Mitch, so you won't be lonely. Do you know the reference?
Not at this moment.
Oh, come on. Which version, though?
What an answer. Not at this moment.
They had 2 versions. People don't know about real Clevelanders know about both versions of that song. There's a second version.
Quarterback situation, guys. How much worse? How much worse is the Browns compared to the Falcons? It's not. I don't think it's that much of a difference.
No, they're at the table. Our situation's worse. Did they give up 3 first-round picks?
No.
Okay, well, we did, so we're worse. But again, they're in the vicinity. What, Ross Buckingham? What are you going to say?
I was just trying to get a difference in there as well. I'll talk about a team that has a good quarterback.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes, who, although the Chiefs have been kind of struggling this year, they're currently at 5-5, and they're on the outside of the AFC playoffs looking in. Now, this is Patrick Mahomes the other day following the Chiefs' loss to the Broncos.
Obviously, it's going to be tough to get back in the division race, but all the goal is to get into the playoffs and try to make a run at it. And we're kind of at that point where we got to find a way just to win football games and got to keep moving forward. That's what this league's all about.
So he's still got the AFC North in his sights, but could this be a year where we have a Chiefless playoffs?
I still think they're getting in, just looking at their schedule. They're Cowboys, Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos at home, and then Raiders to finish out the season. So, there's easily 5 more wins in there. The Chargers, what happened to them? They got their butts kicked against Trevor Lawrence.
Guys left and right. And again, they're well coached. They're still, some of their great players are still on their team. But you're going to run into a buzzsaw every now and then, especially when you have so many injuries. Look at San Francisco's doing a great job. You're looking at 2 well-coached teams out there on the West Coast that are doing their best to keep their head above water when they're dealing with injuries. Of course, San Francisco deals with it every year, so they're not. It's old hat to them.
I do think they're still getting in, but man, they got no margin for error. So if Patrick Mahomes leaves the game with an injury, even if it's week to week, that's it. That could be it. They're done.
That loss, by the way, dropped the Browns a first-round pick from Jacksonville currently to number 19 in the 2026 NFL draft. So, the Browns still have 2 first-round picks.
Raiders game is a biggie for that other pick.
Was it yesterday that they signed, the Jacksonville Jaguars signed Juan Thornhill?
Juan Thornhill, reuniting with his former teammate in the secondary.
Greg Newsome.
It was to the practice squad.
Are they going to start dancing? Are they going to get their choreography set up?
He'll be back and mess it up.
And that's it for the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog.
I didn't mean to make that face. I like Greg Newsome still, and I still think he can be a pretty good cornerback. But Juan Thornhill, on the other hand, no.
Yeah, what happened?
That was a bad signing and a bad tenure, and he did way more celebrating and dancing than he actually made plays for us. Way more viral videos and things like that than he actually made plays for us. That was a fantastic rendition of Red Boy and the Hog.
Cleve for Life says, I guess that ADT subscription is full of blank for Shador. We're not going to make jokes about that. That sucks.
No.
And maybe his security guy wasn't getting the starting reps last week.
Brian Hoyer, 8:40 this morning. Should the Browns have handled their QB situation better? How would he have handled the quarterback situation? Jordan Reed, ESPN, will join us at 9. Coming up in 5, what can Shedeur and the offensive line do for each other to make Sunday a successful one in Las Vegas? John Greco joins us in 5 on The Fan. Tom Merriman and
Yesterday, the idea we should have any kind of expectation for him. Why? Because a bunch of people on social media like him and because a bunch of people bought his jersey? I don't understand the outrage today. A fifth rounder looked like a fifth rounder. A rookie looked like a rookie. And by the way, before that, another rookie quarterback looked like another rookie quarterback too.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
1 hour away, Jordan Reed going to join us. ESPN Brian Hoyer. You remember that name? You know that name. He is still in media. Well, he owns Boston. He joins us at 8:40 this morning.
He's doing TV and radio up there.
Man that owns Youngstown. He ain't even been there recently. John Greco, he joins us right now on the fan hotline. John, how the hell are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I wish Youngstown gave me the key to the city, but I have not received it in the mail yet. And good for Brian. That guy, one of my favorite teammates and quarterbacks I've ever played with.
I think they buried it with Jim Trafficant.
Hey! Come on!
Wow.
What's your problem?
He was very popular, was he not?
What did Jimmy ever do to you? Leave Jimmy alone. Leave Jimmy alone. He got a lot of things done. Got that Air Force Base. What the hell did you ever do over there in Chesterland? Okay? Jimmy alone. Hi, John. It's good to talk to you.
Hello.
Good morning.
What did you think of Sunday? Share the entire thought of it, obviously, with Shedeur as well.
Big excitement. With disappointment, I hate to see a guy get hurt, and Dylan Gabriel going into the protocol. Immediately followed by excitement. I wanted to see what Shedeur Sanders, how he looked, if he had poise and if he was under control, and see how his teammates and everybody around him would have reacted, and see what the play calling looked like. And he looked like a guy that was getting thrown into the fire for the first time as a rookie, and it's tough to really give him a fair assessment given the situation he was thrown in. But that's the reality of the NFL. You have to be ready at a moment's notice. You never know when you could be, sitting on the sidelines with an earpiece on and a ball cap and then thrown into the fire. Some of his comments that he hasn't, taken a lot of snaps with those guys and hasn't thrown to some of the receivers. True, but a reality. So I'm excited to see what that young man looks like with a full week of preparation and game plan. I watched the Raiders game last night, and I'm optimistic. I mean, Myles Garrett's going to have 7 sacks probably, and I would assume that Geno Smith's going to continue that trend of throwing interceptions to our defense. So he should have a lot of opportunities, and as long as they don't do anything stupid and turn the ball over, let up a punt return touchdown or something goofy. I think Shedeur should be in a good position and have a good opportunity to lead this offense to hopefully a win.
What do you think they will do with that offense to change it around? Because, again, I always reference the Ian Rappaport report from about a month ago where they're like, yeah, well, he's going to play, but they want him to start when he plays, which might be backwards of how we all think. But, again, it's the Browns. And it said that they were going to do a lot to change the offense for him. So what do you think that would do, and what would that do to the rest of the offense having to do that in a week?
I'm not sure how much you can reinvent the wheel in a week's time, especially when you're going on the road. I would think some of the wrinkles that maybe the offensive staff had in the back of the playbook or on that big menu card that they hold on the sidelines, some of those things might reappear. But gosh, I'd like to see them kind of refocus and get back to more of a balanced attack. And, Quinshon Judkins has shown signs that, he's got that breakaway ability and the ability to bust a big play. But a lot of the times he's getting hit in the backfield. And, there's a variety of reasons for that. But, they have to soften these defenses up. And we've talked about on your show before that defenses are just playing heavy box and saying, hey, look, we're not going to let you beat us with the run. Throw it over our heads. Make plays down the field, and they just haven't done that. So maybe this week you'll start to see Shedeur attack downfield and throw it to Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman and some of the other guys and feature the tight ends maybe down the middle and attack the middle of the field and make them pay for maybe trying to sneak a safety into the box. So, I'd love to see them try to break a few runs early and then hit them over the head with play action, over the top with play action, or just, really soften that defense. And I think once they start to do that more consistently, that's when they'll become more of a balanced attack. And you'll see those running, those rushes, instead of getting hit right at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield, because there's so much traffic, you'll see the running back have better success. And that's only going to help Shedeur. So what are they going to do? Maybe I don't know if they're going to necessarily get him on the move or create more of a moving pocket, but they have to protect because Shedeur likes to, drop deep, and when things aren't going well, he has a tendency to bail and run back, which is kind of a tackle's worst nightmare. Guard, we love it. I want that guy to be 10, 15 yards back in the backfield. But, see if they're going to try to move the pocket a little bit and get him out in space, or if it's just going to be a day in the pocket where we're buckling up on offensive line and protecting and seeing if Shedeur can deliver. But I don't know how much the playbook's going to evolve, if they're going to sprinkle in some trick plays here and there, which they love to do. But I would just like to see them more balanced.
John Greco with us. So you as a former player, it seems like every former player has been asked and given some sort of understanding on how reps work for backups in this league. Obviously, there are different situations, and the Browns have a very, very different situation. So what was it like for quarterbacks, for young quarterbacks, whatever? What was it like when you were in the league, and is it the right way to do things?
Yeah, I've been around teams that have tried to find ways to get young quarterbacks and backups reps with the first group, but it's like on Friday they get 2 plays at the end of the practice. It's not much. And playing center during center quarterback exchange at the beginning of the practice, you would at least take snaps with each quarterback, even the practice squad guy, because you just never know, and it just gets everybody used to working with everyone. You have to hear different cadences, which is another thing that nobody really talks about. But as far as that operation, you try to get that at the beginning of every practice. But to your point, Anthony, this is a unique situation, and they were getting Dylan Gabriel ready for the game plan and for that week's opponent, and trying not to rob him of any opportunity to give him the best chance to succeed. Now, we can all argue, and it really does nothing for us whether they do that right or wrong. When I played, did I like to see the backup quarterback kind of get in and have a couple live reps? Because you never know. The quarterback's helmet could break, his chin strap can come loose, his shoe could, come untied, and the backup is immediately thrown in there, and you have to be ready to go. So are there ways to get these guys more reps opportunities? There are, but it's not like it's a substantial amount of work throughout the week, because you do have a limited amount of preparation because you're trying to get guys ready and keep them healthy and keep them fresh. So it goes back to coaches saying, well, you have to get your reps in the meeting rooms and before and after practice. And I would see a lot of guys do that. You would take extra snaps with quarterbacks. You would see those guys throwing to each other, before and after practice sometimes. But really the work is done and the prep is done in the meeting room. But you can't replicate that until you actually take the reps on the field. So I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it's hard to get those extra reps and steal those extra reps in the practice. It's just there's too much going on. There's too much preparation. There's too much that goes in the install to get you ready for the next week's opponent that it's hard to give everybody the proper reps.
They're 2-8. What do you think the vets are thinking about this right now?
I think they're thinking, look, we still have some games left, and here's the thing, because there's a lot of talk of now, draft, the draft next year, and what are we going to do? And we want the I guess highest pick, lowest pick, whatever, however you want to look at it. The coach, the players are not thinking that. They can care less about next year's draft. Those players everybody's in a different situation. They are trying to win and trying to do everything they can to show up, go to work, for each other and for themselves and their careers. You might be a guy that's long in the tooth and late in your career, and you don't want to go out this way, and you want to try to win a couple games and feel good about it and put a feather in your cap for the last time. or you're a guy that's fighting for a job on this team or another team, next year, or you're a contract guy that's trying to get paid, whether it be by the Browns or another team. So everybody's kind of has a different mindset. But if you're in the locker room right now, you're thinking, look, we're on another quarterback starting. Defensively, those guys got to be licking their chops. Like I'll just kind of echo what I said in the opening segment. The Raiders offensively turn the ball over. Geno Smith gets hit a lot. So our defense has been playing very, very well. They've let up a couple big plays, but look, they're human too. So defensively, nothing has changed there. They got to say, hey, we got to do our job like we've been doing all year and better. Let's try to get some more turnovers. Special teams is special teams, but offensively, those guys are saying, hey, look, the style might change a little bit with who's under center. He might be drifting a little bit more back. So those tackles have to know where the quarterback is in relationship to their pass sets. Guards and centers have to know that you're probably going to be getting more pressure now. You saw what Baltimore did late in the game, and that really kind of sped up the time clock in Shador's head and created a lot of havoc. So you have to know that the Raiders are going to try to pressure you. And that's the thing. And then it's how do we get the run game going? How do we score points? How do we win a game? That is the mindset.
All right, John, you were talking about the running game, and I'm just curious about a creativity to the running game. Like, Quinshon Judkins is way too good to be averaging, in these games, like 3 yards a carry. And we all saw it. There were like 5 runs in the first half where I'm like, oh, he could be taking that to the house. And then you could see the talent there. You could see he has this vision. He falls forward. A lot of the good stuff that we liked about Nick Chubb, it's like Judkins has it. Yet, I understand an offensive line is giving them some issues as well. But how in the world is it that they're not getting a little more creative in the way they do things, especially a coaching staff or at least a head coach that I saw them run the ball with so many different guys years ago?
Can I add something to that, John?
Yeah.
Are you asking creativity in the run game?
Yes.
How can they get more creative? I don't think you trust the quarterbacks. You don't trust really anybody else. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, great question. I don't know. As far as creativity in the run game, it still comes back to, what style is it off tackle? Is it outside zone? And then you mix in some of the gap schemes to try to keep the defense off balance. It still comes down to execution. So there's so many things that have to go right to have a successful running game. And when you have a player like we do in a young running back, you got to create opportunities for him. But it gets frustrating when you give him the ball and there's an unblocked safety or an extra guy that's coming into the box, like I was talking about. And I know that it's hard to kind of accept that as an answer. But that is what a lot of it is. And then when the box is clean and we have the numbers and the advantage, you're seeing missed blocks or guys falling off late or guys getting beat up front. So there's a lot going on there that it's hard for me to just say, hey, it's this one thing. And for them, the notion for them to get creative, there's only so much they can do. They have outside toss crack plays that they can run that they try to feature, and it's just all about keeping the defense off balance and showing them different looks. But at the end of the day, the bread and butter, which we saw Coach Stefanski do when they were having all that success with Nick Chubb, was running off tackle, was the zone schemes, getting people out in space and getting a hat on the hat. And they're just not doing that right now. And then even when you did have a hat on the hat, it's about one guy making an unblocked player miss. So you're seeing that right now, and that's kind of what I'll go back to. There's just a ton of traffic. And I don't know if they spread everybody out and try to create an advantage in the box where you only have 6 guys for those amount of blockers, but it just seems like everything's so tight. And when that happens and you have multiple tight ends and you have kind of receivers that are attached to the formation near the line of scrimmage, it just creates such a muddy, murky box. And it's hard to navigate through that when you have so many bodies and if you're not getting movement. So as far as them getting creative, I just don't know where they go from there. It's all about execution. they have to try to find ways to soften the defense. And I think it honestly comes back to that. When they start attacking the ball downfield and completing passes downfield, that's going to soften up the box and create better opportunities in the run game.
John, thank you so much for the time. Know you're a busy one today. All the best, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday, friend.
Guys, great talking to you. Tell Hoyer I said hi.
I will. I promise you that. John Greco on the Fan Hotline. I don't know what you really are expecting out of that run game.
Yeah, here's what I'm
especially
thinking.
this week. I think it's going to have to be execution.
I have read so much about how I know we've had our problems going vertical down the field. It's actually a trend in the NFL. The teams are not able to beat the Tampa 2 right now because they can't protect. And so you're seeing a lot of stacked boxes. And so what are teams doing to, be able to adjust to a lot of that stuff? And it's all about the horizontal now. It's all about, and you see the way that people attack us.
Yeah, you try to get the athletes and you get them out in space.
And you do have, look, for whatever about Isaiah Bond, but he's got speed. You've got Corley, right? You've seen him bust some huge runs, so there's some creativity there. I just think the threat needs to be there more because we're not going to be able to do what like Kyle Shanahan's always able to do, which is, I don't care if they put 12 in the box. We can block that. These are home run hitters then because we have that much confidence. Well, we don't. We do not have that confidence to be able to block, 7 guys at the line, 8 guys in the box. We just don't have that, especially because you see, especially on the weak side, and they were doing this. The run blitzes, we always talk about just blitzes in general. They're basically run blitzes. Or they could double as either. You saw Kyle Hamilton. Now, he's one of the better defensive players in the entire NFL. Certainly, you can make the argument he's the most versatile defensive player in the NFL. He's coming on the backside, and it's just such a threat to get Judkins a yard behind the line of scrimmage. They got no chance. And I don't know what they do to be able to free that up because it's clear Judkins has talent. It's not like, we've got Trent Richardson here.
Coming up in 5 minutes, the smoking gun for this situation might have came out during the show yesterday. That Brian Hoyer coming up at 8:40 on the Fan.
Anthony Lima 4, Van Scoy here. If you're a man or
Ken Carman here for the Ohio Turnpike. Save time and money while traveling nonstop on the open road tolling lanes with Easy Pass while saving an average of 33% on tolls. Visit OhioTurnpike.org. Brought to you by 7-Eleven and the Ohio Turnpike. A better way to travel.
There's Cavs and there's NBA news that happens while you at work. Baskin and Phelps. Weekday mornings starting at 10.
We got Brian Hoyer who's going to join us on the show. How should the Browns have handled the QB situation? Are they handling it right? Because there's been a lot of people going, Ken, NFL teams handle it differently. I go, I get it, but they handled it different from NFL teams. So that leaves them open to criticism. If they decided to do it the other team's way, you can go, that's the way it's done in the NFL. That's the argument you and I had at 6 o'clock yesterday morning. It's like, if they'd have done it the same way NFL teams had done it, where it's like, hey, we gotta get ready for the season. This isn't some fantasy camp. We gotta get going here. Nobody else gets anything with the first team or whatever. Like, okay, all right, fine. That's perfectly fine. But when you do what you did, and people have long memories here, and we're all trying to find out, because, see, this is where I've been upset with this team, is that you are constantly in and out of, you're trying to win, you're trying to get ready for the future. You're trying to win, you're trying to get ready for the future. What are you trying to do? And I think a lot of people are going, Ken, they're just trying to get ready for the future. You don't sign Myles Garrett to that type of contract if you're just trying to get ready for the future. You make trades if you're just trying to get ready for the future. You don't bring in Kenny Pickett. Well, you probably could bring in Kenny Pickett, but you don't bring in Joe if you're just trying to get ready for the future.
Well, remember,
so you've been giving a mixed message to your fan base. And then I look at it and go, okay, so if you guys all think that they're just trying to get ready for the future and that this season doesn't matter, why do you all call me up wanting to fire the head coach and general manager? Because it's all about the future. No, they built this for now. And right now they're 2-8. And somebody has to answer for it, because all that does is leave an excuse. So if they're trying to get ready for the future, then, yeah, you should have done things differently than what you're doing them right now, because none of it has really made sense.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, though, it's tough because, do you remember who they had in the building the day that they announced the extension, the new contract with Myles Garrett? Do you remember which quarterback came walking through the building that day to get his tour?
Was it Kenny?
To talk? No. It was
you're talking about a rookie.
No, it was Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, Zach brought this up on his podcast, Zach Jackson. I'm like, that's right. We had a day where we talked about Russell Wilson and whether or not he could be the quarterback of the Browns. Because regardless of what situation you're in, you still need a quarterback.
Crazy bewilderment, like we're not 2-8. Like, oh man, we really dodged the bullet there.
Yeah, while they were setting up the dinosaurs on the stage,
and cupcakes
right?
too.
Yeah, and the cupcakes. Well, also Russell Wilson was coming through, so. They needed a quarterback either way. It's just their plan of attack from moment one never made sense to me, and it's why I will always question, even if Andrew Berry had a great draft, and it looks like he really did have a very, very good draft. That could even be great. Like, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Carson. We'll see, if Judkins, I think he'll be able to take a step forward, after this year, just getting out of this mess that is this year. I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about some of these rookies, but even if you thought, hey, I've got a guy who finally could draft a good class after 6 years. How about managing this? You're a general manager. You're not just a guy who picks players. You manage the roster.
It's not being managed.
You
very
manage the situation. And the coach is part of that too. Have they been aligned on any of this? Well, have they?
This is where some of that alignment goes away. So yesterday morning, Jason Lloyd released an article. For whatever reason, he didn't even promote it. He's like, whatever. He thought it was like a throwaway. And it's been kind of bandied about before, but he writes the article, and some people thought it might be a bit of a smoking gun here of why Shedeur Sanders wasn't playing. And he written in the article, shortly after the draft, this quote, shortly after the draft, Browns coach Kevin Stefanski began informing members of the organization that this would be a redshirt year of sorts, quote unquote, for Sanders. He wasn't expected to play at all this year unless things got ugly. The Browns wanted him to sit and learn. We're not even to Thanksgiving yet, and darkness has fallen on Cleveland. There was Sanders thrust into duty as the backup quarterback in November when the Browns began the season, hoping he wouldn't have to play at all. Darkness washed over the dudes. Sorry.
There is a lot there to talk about, okay? Because, and I know we've got Brian Hoyer coming up, so you definitely going to want to stay tuned because he's got incredible experience that mirrors exactly what is happening this year.
Well,
so after the draft, Stefanski informs members of the organization this would be a redshirt year. This is shortly after the draft. Well, Kevin Stefanski is not an evaluator. That is not his official title. He is not a scout. What would bring him to that point shortly after the draft that would have him telling the organization and guys in? Because what other quarterback was on the roster at that point? Kenny Pickett?
No, after the draft, it was
shortly after the draft.
Was Joe already on the roster?
Remember Pickett was calling, was talking to the rookies?
I think Joe was on the roster. I think they had 4 guys when they made the draft. Yeah, because this says shortly after the draft, so you got 4 on the roster there.
So if he's saying it's a redshirt year right off the rip, then it's furthermore that, I don't know, you can't say that Kevin didn't want him necessarily, but you could draw your own conclusions. And also, that's not a quarterback competition to be had. Like, they should have just came out and said that. What would have been the harm? What, they wouldn't have sold as many jerseys? Kevin doesn't care about jersey sales.
Well, no.
So were they telling him, was ownership or somebody informing Kevin, hey, you cannot tell people he's redshirting? That would doom what?
Well,
what would that do? Sales?
Made fans upset, made it feel like you weren't even giving Shedeur a real chance.
They weren't. He wasn't.
I know that. But you also and I know that, hey, you could say it until you're blue in the face, because if you go, there's no chance he's playing, then, of course, he goes out there and plays. There's no way you could ever say you ever wanted him to play because he had to go out there and play. Like, they knew there was a chance that he was going to have to play.
Don't you think honesty would have been the best policy here?
In hindsight, yes. And then
if he ends up playing, it's a bonus.
You take the guy.
I guess we'll get a chance to see him this year.
You take the guy, and then, well, he's not going to play at all. He's not. So why is he on the roster? Why is he going to make the team? Why is he doing all this? Like, then
the
you
things I was saying anyway
about all those things exactly. Yeah. So it's almost you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. That's why in so many ways, like, if this isn't going to work out, you might as well just not even address.
So he would not address. Can we? Let me be fair, and you guys tell me if I'm not being fair here. I'm always accused of not being fair. I want to be fair. Judging by this, and I have no reason to doubt the reporting here. He's saying members of the organization. Jason Lloyd has it on pretty damn good authority here. So I'm gonna go. I'll go ahead and say, like, Kevin did not want them to draft. Sure, he wouldn't have wanted them to draft anybody after they drafted Dylan Gabriel. It's not just a Shedeur thing. Not that he hates Shedeur. He wouldn't have thought it would have made sense to draft anybody,
but
especially the guy that's the most popular dude in the draft.
Let me give you a question from the other. Let me give you a question from the other side. You got Kenny, you have Joe, you draft Dylan Gabriel. There's one guy that people really just don't want to see. Now, I think there's some people just kind of throwing their hands up and going, Ken, who cares? But it's not like they're excited to see the guy. And they just announced yesterday they're not opening up the practice window for him. And I wonder if they were going, this gives you somebody you could possibly look forward to. It's an uphill battle for either of these guys. We're probably going to go get a quarterback in 2026. This gives you somebody you could possibly look forward to without having to throw the boogeyman out there. That's the only other way of thinking I could have seen it. Where, hey, you can put him on merchandise. You can have him out there, signing autographs, things like that. Maybe he gets his crack at it. But again, when it comes to the Browns, you just had this feeling. I think a lot of people did, pro, anti, whatever, that he was going to play sooner than later in the season. That it was always going to be too soon. For him, Dylan Gabriel, for a lot of things.
And I hadn't even thought about Deshaun Watson as part of that. But you're right, they had to.
Brian Hoyer, coming up in 5 minutes. How should the Browns have handled their QB situation? Did they handle it the right way? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Real estate market.
Dale Earnhardt hats?
They sell a lot of hats.
Do they have
Great
a
hats.
storefront?
They do. They might have an extra one of these.
Well, do they
You
have
think
one
it
that
would
fits
fit your
my
head?
bulbous
Yeah.
head? Yeah, I have a very large melon.
Did they have a Hoyer Destroyer
A
hat?
gargantuan melon. That's right. Brian Hoyer joins us next on The Fan.
Want to talk Browns while you're at work? Baskin and Phelps, weekdays starting at 10 on 92.3 The Fan.
It's time to get the truth. How messed up is this situation? From a former starting quarterback, backup quarterback, all over quarterback, Brian Hoyer spent a hell of a lot of years in the league. He joins us right now on the Fan Hotline. Brian, how the hell are you?
I'm great, guys. Mackenzie was kind of like, no, they don't have Hoyer Destroyer. Like, what is that? I feel a little hurt right now, and I'm so forgotten.
She doesn't understand.
She was but a kid. just a child.
You know what I love about having Brian on is we've had so many people in the Shador orbit that have been like, you guys don't understand. You've never experienced anything like this. And I'm like, we had the exact closest scenario in recent NFL history to this already happening. And it was when Brian Hoyer was in the building because they drafted Johnny Football, and Johnny Football was the most famous dude in college football. He was a Heisman winner. He had some of the most electric moments in college football history with the most amount of people that you could possibly imagine watching him. And we had this situation. So it's not that long ago that we went through this. And Brian, you were the guy that had to deal with all of this. So can you take us through what went on in this situation with Shador and some of the comparisons here? Because I actually find a lot of this to be identical.
Yeah, Anthony, I can see a little bit of the comparison. The only difference is, I was a veteran. Johnny was a rookie. You got two rookies there now. And I was listening to you guys yesterday, today, just to get the pulse, check in on you guys. And the one thing I would say is when the Browns trade Joe Flacco, and look, I know it wasn't going well and you got to get these young guys. You now have two guys this is their first time going through the NFL, and they don't have one to lean on, right? And so this isn't a situation where Joe Flacco's the starting quarterback as a veteran, which allows a rookie backup to maybe get some more reps in practice, right? Joe Flacco's 41. He doesn't need every single rep. So whoever that rookie backup is going to get a little more practice time. I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from all of this is I'm kind of shocked people don't understand how NFL practices are run and reps are given out, because there is no ones and twos once you get to the regular season, right? There is in training camp. But when you get to the regular season, all the reps go to the starters. And then what happens is, depending on the position, particularly linemen, because they don't want to give them every single rep, the swing guard or the swing tackle may sub in for 2 or 3 plays in the 12th play period. But this isn't college where you have 100 and some guys on a team. Like, you can only practice so much, and to give extra reps to a backup quarterback is kind of, when you think about it, like you're kind of not putting your eggs in the basket of what you think is going to win. And I've lived that in many different scenarios. And so the one thing I would say is people just need to calm down, okay? Every scenario is different. Every place I've been, there's been times when I was young and I backed up Tom Brady, I got 0 reps. And you would say, well, that's kind of irresponsible. But the reality is, if they even tried to send me in for a rep, Tom would shoo me out of the huddle. He wanted every single rep. Now, when I came back for my second stint, there were days on Wednesday and Thursday where Tom needed to recover, get treatment. I would take the entire practice, and not just the offense. I would do the offense, and then I would go do the scout team. And it was great for me. Other places, when I backed up Mac Jones, I got 0 reps. He was a rookie quarterback. He needed every single rep. When I went out to Indianapolis with Jacoby Brissett, he took every single rep. And so it goes and it varies by place to place and situation by situation.
So that's crazy. So, like, you're a younger guy, you get the no reps, but then as you get older, it's like, well, Tom needs a rest today, so you're going to do basically the entire practice. So with more experience comes more reps?
I mean, like, honestly, and that was a week-to-week basis. I mean, there was times where he felt great and was like, all right, I'm taking every single rep. And the one thing that I would say I learned early, because I just told you the situation, was I was going to have to take mental reps. Now, is that fair? No, but that's what comes with the job. And that's why, like, I'm trying to tell everyone, like, it's not surprising to me that Shador hasn't taken any reps. It's just the reality, because Dylan Gabriel is a rookie. So I'm sure that coaching staff is saying, he's our starter. He's learning. He's seeing looks of plays against certain defenses for the first time when he's going to prepare for that Baltimore defense. Like, every defense is different. Your game plan is different. And so he needs every single rep that he can get. That's why when you have two rookie quarterbacks, it's like, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because the backup, he doesn't know anything either, and he has to sit there and watch. And so, I feel bad for Shedeur. Now, the one thing I would say, no one felt bad for me when I didn't get any reps and I went out in a game and didn't perform great, right? But he has a lot of fanfare. And I think, look, the reality is we're all going to see what happens this week, because he's going to get a full week of practice and he's going to play. And even with that, he's a rookie the game is faster, right? That was the one thing when I saw him play. He tried to do some of the stuff he did in college, and it's a different speed, and nothing in practice can compare to it. Nothing in the preseason can compare to it. So I would expect him to have an improved performance, but I don't think that he's going to come out here and it's just going to be, magically 100% different. That's just the reality of being a rookie, being on not a great team. I heard my buddy Greco on this morning. The best thing they can do is establish a game plan that gets the running game going and takes some pressure off of him early, get him a few completions, some plays that he's familiar with. But I think people are blowing this out of proportion. There's certain places where the backup will get a few reps, but you can't extend practice and make everybody else have more reps because your backup quarterback needs reps. This is not how it works in the NFL.
Brian Hoyer joining us on the show. So, Brian, I've been critical of three things. One, two things is in messaging. One is like, all right, Dylan Gabriel got reps with the ones during training camp. Okay. Two was how you said it was an open competition. Now, a lot of us was like, well, we assume things, but they said it, so now you got to hold their feet to the fire. But really, I think it sounds like the biggest. And the third thing that I was critical of is like, I could say whatever I want to about Kenny Pickett, about Joe Flacco. You traded them both away, and now you have no guys with any experience on how to run your offense, and now you basically got, as you just kind of pointed out, you got the blind leading the blind now at your quarterback position.
No, I mean, Ken, are you surprised that this is where you're at in Cleveland with how they handle it? I mean, look,
no, but
there's a
I'm
jersey
still
with
mad.
50 names on it.
Yeah.
My name's smack dab in the middle for that organization because it just seems like they can't get out of their own way. And we talked about this in the offseason. Like, you draft two quarterbacks in the same draft, a few rounds apart, and one of them, as you said, you compared it to Johnny, brings a lot of hype and fanfare. Like, what did you expect was going to happen, especially if you didn't, place him above the guy who was drafted higher than him? I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And so they've gotten themselves in this mess, and it's not fair to Dylan Gabriel. It's not fair to Shedeur Sanders. And honestly, it's not fair to the team and the veterans on that team, a guy like Myles Garrett. And look, we talked about it in the offseason, and he signed the contract. I know what the plan is for quarterback. There's no way that Andrew Berry sat down with him and said, look, we're going to bring in Flacco and we're going to have these two rookie guys. And it's all like, there's no way that was the plan going in. And now you're down to, Shedeur and I heard Greco, you guys asked him, like, what are the guys on the team thinking? And everybody's thinking, okay, what can I do to play for my teammates? What can I do to make sure that I put my best performance out? Because I'm not just auditioning for the Browns and whoever is here next year. I'm auditioning for the rest of the league as well.
All right, so Brian Hoyer joined us right now. You saw a lot of bad, a little bit of good in that game from Shedeur. What is the difference now this week as he's prepping to be the starter most likely, as opposed to getting thrown into a game like he was at halftime last week?
Yeah, I said this on my Twitter, or X, whatever we want to call it right now. Like, sometimes, the pressure is greater being starting quarterback, but also the nerves are a little less because that you're going to be playing, right? I think some of the most nerve-wracking days I've had playing in the NFL are as a backup quarterback and watching your quarterback get drilled and be like, is he getting up? Am I going to go in? I'm sitting here, it's 40 degrees, 32 degrees. I haven't moved in 2 hours. And so the comfortability level of, being in every meeting, knowing when they install a play, like, I'm running this play this week, right? And I'm going to have input on the game plan. I would hope that they would give him input on the game plan. What are you comfortable with? Obviously, Shedeur is a different type of player than Gabriel. And I think, one thing that's kind of being not really talked about is this is I don't want to say a problem, but when you draft a left-handed quarterback, a lot of the game plan is set up for a left-handed quarterback, the way your protections are built, right? His blind side, where that is. So now that will switch. That'll be more emphasized for a right-handed quarterback, which is more natural for the rest of the guys. And I think he'll have a better grasp of what it is going to be. Like, I remember I went to Indianapolis, literally the first week of the season when Andrew Luck retired to be the backup to Jacoby Brissett. And for the first probably 10 weeks, I would get the game plan and I would go through it every single play, and I would basically highlight the plays that I felt comfortable with, and I would just take a black Sharpie and completely black out the plays that if I had to go in the game, I didn't want called. And oddly enough, got thrust into a game against the Steelers, and I run over to the sideline with Sirianni and Frank Reich, and we sit down and they pull out my game plan. And we go over, I'm like, all right, don't call that, call this. I feel comfortable with this. And so there's a lot that goes into it when you're in that role. Now he's the starter. He gets the practice under his belt. The game plan will be tailored to his strengths, which I think you're going to see more of a vertical element when Shedeur. I mean, that's, I think, I saw Dylan Gabriel here in person when they played the Patriots. The arm strength is just not there deep down the field. And I think Shedeur has a good ability to push the ball down the field. He can layer passes a little bit better. So you could see that. But ultimately, what Greco said this morning, he hit it on the head. You want to make it comfortable on Shedeur, you got to be balanced. Don't go out there and try to make him throw 35 times in this game.
All right, Brian, I did want to ask you, just because we had lived this and you had lived through this, and we were going over in text message what it was like that Johnny first time that he came in the middle of a game, and then the next game, which was a total disaster against Cincinnati. So you had that Bills experience, and then that. How did that operate, and what was it like in the locker room when everybody kind of saw Johnny fall flat on his face?
Yeah, you guys were texting me that. I didn't remember that. I think the one thing that, it's kind of like you kind of feel the same way, like it's almost inevitable, right? Like you knew at some point, whether it was an injury or the way the season went, and you knew Shedeur was going to play. And so I think now the team's like, okay, this is kind of what we've been waiting for at some point, one way or the other. Like, that pressure is kind of off now, and it's like you go full speed ahead, and he's the guy for this week, and you see what happens going forward. There's really, it's like you think about the players in the locker room and how it affects them. Well, the way that the game plan is going to change, the way, like I just said, the protection is going to change. And so, when Johnny took over, it was a very different offense than what I played in, right? Because he had a lot of the zone reads and the RPOs and things like that. So now those guys have to get caught up to speed. I don't think, there's going to be a big difference in what the Browns do. Greco hit on that earlier. Like, you can't just change your offense all in 1 week. Like, the rest of the guys got to play too. So, I think the team's probably like, okay, we knew this was going to happen at some point. Now it's here. Let's go out and figure out how we can try to win this game.
Brian Hoyer on the Fan Hotline. Brian, we thank you very much for the time. Folks, subscribe to the Quick Snap podcast with he and David Andrews. Fantastic lineman, a fantastic personality as well from the New England Patriots. Brian, thank you very much for the time. All the best to you, my friend.
All right, guys. Good to catch up with you.
The great Brian Hoyer on the Fan Hotline. Coming up next, we'll go back to back. We'll go belly to belly. Jordan Reed going to join us, ESPN. What can Shedeur do to get better ASAP? Or should we already be looking for love in a different place? Coming up next. Jordan Reed joins us in 5 on the Fan.
Anthony Lima.
$500,000 of his contract. Want to catch highlights from The Fan from earlier today? Get over to 923thefan.com or favorite The Fan on the Odyssey app for all of today's headline segments. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind. Weeknights at 11.
All right, there's a lot of people want to get in after Brian talked to us. I'm going to get to you guys 9:20. That's a promise. I wanted to get to this fellow, though, because he's one of the best. Jordan Reed joins us, ESPN College Football, NFL draft analyst. Took a look at Shedeur before, took a look at Shedeur maybe on Sunday. How do we get the nose up on this thing? And should we just be focused on 2026? And if we are focused on 2026, already is there somebody that is a can't miss for the Cleveland Browns? Jordan Reed joins us right now on the Fan Hotline. Jordan, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
What did you think of Shedeur coming out of the draft? Because, again, I try to follow along with what you do, but sometimes I just need a refresher. What did you think of Shedeur coming out of the draft? And then did you get a chance to get your eyes on anything he did on Sunday?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was hard to miss with all the debates that's going on with Shedeur. But coming out of Colorado, I thought he was a very good player. He was really productive during his time in Colorado, really accurate. That really was his calling card. He led the FBS in completion percentage with 74% his final year. So we knew he was really accurate. But the one thing that I thought he always needed to work on was just the drifting in the pocket and then taking bad sacks, which is some of the things that you saw pop up this past Sunday against the Ravens. So still some of those warts are still there, but let's see how he does with the week of practice as the full-time starter, the QB1. And I'm interested to see how it goes this week for him.
Yeah, well, obviously we're in a very different, bizarre situation. We've had so many people come on and talk with us, just Brian Hoyer moments ago, about the Browns taking two quarterbacks, one in the third, one in the fifth, and now they've both played already, and the season is going down a very, very bad path. So that's why I think a lot of people have tried to get the bearings on what Shedeur should have been coming out, because some people have said his last name helped him. Some people have said his last name hurt him when it came to the draft. What did you think about all of that as it played out?
Well, I think what I would say is he had a lot of pressure on him. I will say that whenever you're the son of an NFL Hall of Famer, you're always going to have extra eyes on you. So I will say that one thing about him. So he obviously was a huge polarizing prospect. You can believe whatever you wanted to believe during the pre-draft process. We'll really never know the truth with all of that stuff. But if we're just focusing on what he is with the Cleveland Browns, I think we're exactly about to find that out. And honestly, I think the season is going, as far as the quarterback rotation, is going as planned with what the Cleveland Browns wanted to do. And what I mean by that is, coming into the season with four quarterbacks, everybody knew that Joe Flacco was going to be the guy coming into the year. But I always knew that either it was him or Kenny Pickett as far as somebody that wasn't going to be there once the season started. That's exactly what happened with Kenny Pickett being gone. But now they had to figure out what they had in both of these guys, in Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, just because with you having 2 first-round draft picks, everybody knows that they're probably going to draft a quarterback coming into the season, is what I meant. You had to figure out what you had with those two guys. But now, if you figure out that you don't have anything in either one of those guys, now it's very clear what you need to do in 2026. So that's why I said the season, even though it's been a disastrous season, the quarterback rotation is really going as how I thought it was going to be planned out, just because they want to uncover what they have in both of these guys. It's still yet to be seen what they have in Shedeur, even though the early returns haven't been promising as far as what he showed against the Ravens. But now let's see what he has as far as that. That's where you alter your draft plans moving forward.
Jordan, did you have any thoughts that Dylan Gabriel could be a starter in this league?
No, I always thought he was going to be a backup just because he doesn't have the necessary arm strength. I saw that at Oregon. Even though he was very accurate, he played on time, I just didn't think he had enough arm strength consistently to be a starter on the next level. So, we're still seeing those things play out during his time as a starter in Cleveland, and you can see the lack of arm strength that really has popped up during his time as a starter. So I just never thought he had the adequate enough arm strength to consistently be a starter. And I thought they drafted him way too early as well. I had him graded as a 6th-round prospect. That's where I had him graded, and they ended up taking him in round 3. So I thought it was much earlier than what I thought he was going to go.
What, Tone?
6th round. We drafted him in the top 100,
I
Jordan.
didn't draft anything. Don't say we.
We drafted him in the top 100. And you're saying you had him graded out as a 6th-rounder. And the thing is, I've heard more people say they had him where Jordan had him than where the Browns had him.
Yeah, that's true. Jordan, let me ask you this, though. You said you think the season's going how the Browns planned on the season going. You don't condone the season going this way, do you?
No, I meant like as far as the quarterback rotation. Not saying they're out there throwing games or losing games. They would never do that.
Well, no.
What I'm saying is, as far as like the quarterback rotation, I think it's going as how they wanted it to plan out. If that makes sense. So basically, what I'm saying is, you know what you have in Joe Flacco. He's that stable, older veteran that you're hoping can give you some type of stability. With Kenny Pickett, you know he's that backup plan behind Joe Flacco. But what I'm saying is they had to figure out what they had in both of these rookies. Just because you have 2 first-round picks, you need to know if you need to draft a quarterback in 2026. So it's clear as day what they have in Dylan Gabriel already. Now they're about to find out what they have in Shedeur Sanders, and that's going to clear up everything as far as what they need to do in 2026.
All right, speaking of grades, where is Fernando Mendoza for you? You got a chance to see him up close and personal in Happy Valley a few weeks ago. He was shaky in that game, but with the game on the line, had a magnificent drive. I imagine you have him as a first-round grade right now, and talk about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first time in Happy Valley experience in Penn State, and it's just amazing how they were 3-5 at the time. Still 106,000 people showed up for the game. So it was as good of an environment as I've ever experienced. And I love seeing quarterbacks in that type of atmosphere. I always thought it was going to be a really good game just because even though the season hasn't gone as planned for Penn State, they're still really talented defensively. They have quite a few guys that are still going to be drafted on that side of the ball as well. So athletically and then schematically, it was going to be a very challenging game for Fernando Mendoza. Now, that's not to say I saw them almost getting within a drive of pulling off the upset, but I just thought a lot of things that we saw in that game went as planned for him. And I didn't think he played well in the first 3 quarters, honestly, and then he picked it up with that late fourth quarter drive. But those are the type of situations that you love to see him in. And he's a guy that has, I would say, B-level arm strength. It's not going to wow you, but he's so accurate, man. Like, he can throw the ball to all 3 levels of the field. You saw it on that last drive. He can throw it in the seams. He can throw it over the middle of the field. He really excels throwing the ball outside of the numbers as well. He loves giving his guys what I call faith throws, those one-on-one catches outside. He has no problem throwing balls in that area. But just the calm and cool, collected demeanor that he displayed in that fourth quarter drive, I thought that was just phenomenal. And that's definitely a huge mental note that I took about him. But the most impressive part to me is just his efficiency in the red zone. So over the past 2 seasons, counting his time at Cal, he has 32 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the red zone. Yes, believe it or not, 32 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. So that just goes to show you just how efficient he is in the red zone. And then when it's money time, he understands what he has to do to win the game.
Jordan Reed joining us on the show. What about how he reads defenses? What about the anticipatory throws? Because, you know, we hear a lot about when we had Brandon Weeden here. This is a long time ago, Jordan. But when we had Brandon Weeden, he's so accurate. Now we have Shedeur. He's so accurate. It's like, well, if you can't get rid of the ball, if you can't come off the read and make another one, if you can't find the right read in the first place, your accuracy is going to do us no good. You're just going to go get hit. What about the throws when it comes to being able to anticipate windows, tight windows, and obviously being able to make the reads?
Yeah, I mean, he's able to do all that stuff very efficiently, and we've seen it even going back this time at Cal. I thought he was still very good in that area. Now, of course, he still needed to prove it at Indiana, but I think that's the toughest part about really grading these quarterbacks in the transition. In my honest opinion, you don't know how these guys are going to transition just because everybody's process is different. You don't know some of the things that they're being asked to do and if that aligns with the system that they're going to be running schematically. So I will say, I think Fernando Mendoza compares very favorably to a lot of quarterbacks that Stefanski has had success with prior to his time in Cleveland. And you're going to hear the name Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff tagged a lot with Fernando Mendoza. I definitely think he has a lot of similar traits to both of those guys. And we've seen Kirk have plenty of success during his time with Stefanski.
I know, Jordan, we're so far away from solidifying all the rankings. There's going to be a lot more data points, including the combine. How many first-round grades? Everybody talks about how disappointing this class has turned out. How many first-round grades will you have, do you think?
So I'm actually releasing my top 50 big board this upcoming Friday.
Scoop yourself?
I think I have 16 first-round grades
total
right now. So, I mean, so total. So that's right around the magic number. That's about the average number, honestly. But I will say there isn't a lot of marquee talent at the top of this year's draft. But once you get into, like that 12 to 25 range, I definitely think there's going to be a lot more comfort about where a lot of these guys go.
Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, real quick. Is there anything rotting from within to those two guys?
I mean, Ty Simpson, he's a bit undersized. I saw him against South Carolina earlier this year. He's going to come in at about 6'1".
He dropped.
Quarterbacks in this year's class, and then also some others that we have seen in years past, but the accuracy is really good. Some of the things that he's asked to do, he's definitely on a pro level. He's the son of a coach as well. So as far as reading and reacting in a timely manner, he definitely is able to do that. Didn't play well this past weekend against Oklahoma. So once again, like those data points that you love to point to, it was just another data point in his draft portfolio. But ball security is something that he definitely needs to clean up. And then also just understanding when to give up on plays. He just tries to extend plays a little bit too much, and he's not that overly great athlete like we've seen in years past. So quick synopsis on Ty Simpson, and then Dante Moore, who's actually my favorite quarterback in this year's class. Even though he's only started 15 games, I just think he's so natural as a passer. But again, the sample size is really small with him, but I definitely think he has the makings and the traits of being a top 5 pick. But he still has 2 years left of eligibility, so he could elect to come back. And I definitely think Uncle Phil Knight is going to be very competitive with getting him back to Eugene.
All right, 15. I know you're pressed for time. I got to ask Lenore Sellers, should he go back or should he come out?
He should go back to school. I just think he's just such a huge project right now, and I've seen him about 4 times now up close. Every bit of 6'3", 240, 245 pounds. If you were making a creative player on Madden, he definitely would be the player that you would want him to look like. But he's just not seeing the field well right now. Now, it's not all his fault. South Carolina doesn't have great surroundings outside of Nick Harbor. Offensive line has been absolutely awful this season. So there's a lot of variables that go into his failures this year. And then, of course, they fired a play caller as well prior to last week's game. So there's a lot of variables that go into why he hasn't succeeded this year. But I just think he's far from ready to be a pro right now.
The great Jordan Reed. Jordan, we thank you very much for the time. We know you're pressed for it. All the best. Hope to talk to you again soon after the football season.
Thank you guys for having me.
Jordan Reed on the Fan Hotline, ESPN. I agree with him totally on Lenore Sellers. I was worried about Lenore Sellers. I think that if I were him, I'd probably hit the portal and probably go find a better offensive line to play behind. I don't know if Shane Beamer's the right one down there. I'm worried about him. Worried about him taking hits. He is. I mean, you're 245. You're a big boy.
Yeah.
But
I'm
worried
saying
about that.
Simpson, undersized, and Dante Moore is his QB1. I know things can change, but Dante Moore, after he saw Mendoza in person orchestrate that incredible drive in that frenzied environment with blitzes and NFL guys coming after him all over that defense, he still says Dante Moore number 1.
216-474-0092. The damning information you have to hear that should show you how challenging this situation has been to both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. That's in 5 on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for the
No deferrals, the first major signing of the MLB offseason. Listen to the Fan Rewind weeknights 11 p.m. to midnight. All of the best segments from all of our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
The damning quote you have to hear to know how tough this situation is on both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. That's in moments, folks. We will be at Bomber Sports Cards coming up on Friday, 203 East Royalton Road, Broadview Heights, 11 to 1 p.m. Get over there. There's Donato's Pizza. Be there, be square. You have to go see us.
I cannot wait. It's a
Friday
away from home.
Come talk to me.
This is going to be a good time.
Let's discuss. Let's discuss the sports and the goings-on and the what's happenings, please.
Should we do an in-person coming in hot?
Yes.
Oh.
I think that's a tremendous idea. 203 East Royalton Road, Bomber Sports Cards, Friday, 11 to 1. We're benefiting shoes and clothes for kids. It's a charitable event. Donato's is there. Shoes and clothes for kids. We're taking donations of socks and the such. Get on over there. 203 East Royalton Road in Broadview Heights. How tough is this situation? See, this is going to explain to you how difficult this is for both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders and showing this ain't fair to anybody. Here's Brian Hoyer with us 40 minutes ago.
I'm kind of shocked people don't understand how NFL practices are run and reps are given out, because there is no ones and twos once you get to the regular season, right? You can only practice so much, and to give extra reps to a backup quarterback, like, you're kind of not putting your eggs in the basket of what you think is going to win. And I've lived that. When I was young and I backed up Tom Brady, I got 0 reps. And you would say, well, that's kind of irresponsible. But the reality is, if they even tried to send me in for a rep, Tom would shoo me out of the huddle. He wanted every single rep. Now, when I came back for my second stint, there were days on Wednesday and Thursday where Tom needed to recover, get treatment. I would take the entire practice, and not just the offense. I would do the offense, and then I would go do the scout team. And it was great for me. It goes and it varies by place to place and situation by situation.
So that's Brian Hoyer, who basically explains, like, he had to become a veteran to get more reps in practice. Which is, when we were saying earlier in the season, excuse me, you brought this up in the argument yesterday. Well, Joe Flacco's 41 years old. Does he need the reps? And then Joe said it himself. I'm 40 years old. Do I really need the reps? It's going, well, no. But when I'm hearing Brian, it's like, well, when he became a veteran, then he was able to get more reps during practice.
Well, I look at this whole thing this way, and I did overnight. I kind of calmed down and wondered, all right, could they not have created some opportunities at the end of practice? We had heard that at the beginning of the year, right? When Shore was like third string, like he had gotten like a handful of plays or whatever at the end of practice, or like a 10-minute period. So what? There aren't enough hours in the day to get that accomplished. With all that said, I think it's pretty clear. And again, with the Jason Lloyd story that came out where he said the coach had told members of the organization, is how it was written, that prepare for this to be basically not a gap year. What did he call it? A redshirt year.
A redshirt year.
Okay, a redshirt
gap year is basically the same thing.
Yeah, a redshirt year for Shedeur. And if he was telling people that, I mean, can't we all kind of come to grips with, then this year was supposed to be about Dillon Gabriel. This year was not supposed to be about Shedeur. People say, well, why do you keep mentioning fifth round? He's a backup now. But I think it is important to note that organizations do proceed differently based on where you're taken in the draft.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That's why when I say top 100 pick, there is a different kind of, not a stigma, but there is a certain way that we talk about these different things. Like a first-round pick, I said earlier in the show, J.J. McCarthy has been abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
First-round picks will get other opportunities. They just do. I think the only one that didn't at quarterback, well, there's been a few of them. No, I can't even say that because Josh Rosen did get another opportunity. Johnny Manziel did not. His career was over in record time. But that was because of the stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Shedeur is working. He is actually putting in the effort. So maybe that does give him a chance, but he's not got a lot of margin for error to work with as a fifth rounder. As opposed to if Shedeur was taken in the first round, the team would have made sure he'd been getting reps. He wasn't. He was taken in the 5th, and the guy that was taken in the top 100, it was about his turn and his season.
But it's also, I think it's galling to a Browns fan who probably didn't even have the name Dylan Gabriel registered.
That's a great point.
When we were doing our things, and guys, it's like I had him 10th out of 10, I think it was, out of guys who can get drafted. I have to go back and check my sheets. I'm just a radio show host. Jordan Reed does this for a living. He had him as 6th-round guy. You took him in the 3rd round. So you're doing this thing, and so it's going to blow Browns fans' minds and get them angry and emotional, where it's like, what are you doing this for? This seems like, as Jonathan would say, your pet project. Like, you took this guy in the 3rd round, so you overdrafted him. Don't care what Albert Breer said or anybody else. Oh, they might have taken him in the 4th round. Okay, well, still, it's a draft pick that's not that high. That's still too high for a lot of fans on this team that we didn't really know going into the season what they're trying to be. And I still don't know what they're trying to be. The decisions you've made, again, they're not consistent with a team going one way or the other. They're not. So now you have this organization that takes this guy, you take him too high, and then you proceed to do all these things that people just think is a round peg in a square hole. And let's call it what it is. You're an undersized guy that, as a lefty, doesn't seem to have a whole lot of going for him when it comes to this year. You have to be able to rise the tide to lift these boats in this offense, which is going to be like pulling teeth. And you started the season with a guy who has 20 years experience, who's been a Super Bowl MVP, a Super Bowl winner, a franchise quarterback, big body, big arm, and he couldn't get anything out of these guys. And part of that is on the Kevin Stefanski offense. Definitely. No blame is going to be taken away. But also the type of players that you're playing with as well. And now I'm going to go from this to Dylan Gabriel, then to Shedeur. It's nonsensical. So what we're going to end up doing, what this more feels like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. But to prove me wrong, Shedeur will have to defy logic, because it almost seems fate that these two guys are going to be thrown to the wolves, and that's it. And we're going to go and move in a different direction with a different quarterback next year. They become expendable.
Because they weren't 1st-round picks.
A guy who becomes a 3rd-round pick becomes expendable. A guy who is a 5th-round pick, who has the biggest fan base in college football, becomes expendable. That's a total waste for every fan out there. Yeah. And especially if Kevin Stefanski gets let go this year, because new people will come in. Stefanski and Barry, if they both get let go, new people will come in and go, no.
Yeah, they will not want any part of this.
This is not going to stand. They're probably not going to see, if it goes this way, they're not going to see any future with Shedeur.
Short of one person getting the head coaching job. Prime. That'd be the one way. That'd be the one way Shedeur would stay.
Okay, fair. But they will see this and go, nope. They will let go of Shedeur, which I'm sure there will be a lot of Shedeur fans who are going to praise Jesus over it and say hallelujah. But, well, I'll be here. I was here before you. I'll be here after you. So it's going to suck. But that's the way it's going to go. And there will be some, because we have had some Dylan fans who will also probably praise Jesus and thank God over it that he's gone and they don't have to deal with the Browns anymore. Okay, I was here before you and I'll be here after you. And we'll go with a different direction of these other guys. I told you what my situation would be. By the end of this season, I think they will both look bad. I think they will both be thrown to the wolves, and I think that we will go through a change. And if I were taking over it, I'm calling San Francisco. I'm calling a couple other teams. I'm seeing what their situation is.
So Mac Jones. You're asking about Mac Jones.
I'm looking for veterans, and then I'm still going to draft a quarterback. And the more I have there that I think I can count on, the better off I think I'm going to be.
This is where managing...
Now, they could go out and get Mac Jones, because, by the way, Mac Jones doesn't cost a lot of money, but that means he's going to cost a lot of picks real quick.
Yeah.
He'll cost a higher pick, but you got him.
You have him.
And you could always say, hey, I like what he's doing. Maybe I'll just kick the can down the road, and we won't take a quarterback. I would still probably take a quarterback, not have to start him. I know that's a crazy thought, but we have to go into 2025 and beyond.
This is the managing of the quarterback situation, something that I think Andrew Berry's been abysmal at. So had a pretty good draft, terrible management of the quarterback room. And you could see how Brian Hoyer came in and said, this wasn't fair to either of them. You're sabotaging both. This wasn't about sabotaging Shedeur. You're sabotaging both the guys.
Yes.
Like, that's how would you feel if you were drafted in the 3rd round and then 2 rounds later they take quarterback? That'd be a miserable existence. So you really put both of these guys in position to fail. And that's why if the new GM came in here, That's exactly what they would do. They would trade for somebody like Mac Jones. They would draft a rookie, and then they would be able to be honest about the situation. Yes, fans will still clamor and still have their battles, but it won't be this, where you have the celebrity figure quarterback who has limitations, and then the third-round overdrafted quarterback who has major limitations.
Or the worst possible thing about this is if you do get a new general manager, and this is something you have to take into account, they could look at it and go, you know what? I didn't create this mess, and we're just going to grind it out here another year until we figure it out with the other guys, whether it be with Julian Sane or Lenore Sellers with another year or Arch Manning with another year or whatever it might be. Yeah, I know what he was doing on the bench, and I saw all the Phil Leotardo memes just like everybody else did. My estimation of Arch Manning as a man has bleeping plummeted. It's a bleeping disgrace. I saw him. You could always just decide we're just going to grind it out, and this is the way it's going to be, and we're going to get 1 year closer to cap freedom. We're going to get 1 year closer to maneuverability, and we're going to start over. I would hate that scenario because I don't think anybody has as much time as they think they have, and I think that would still go back to a circular conversation that's happened with the Browns. But whoever were to become the new general manager, if they were to press the nuclear options, they have a chance to talk them into that. And I hate it because it's the two things that I think are the worst in this scenario. One, tearing down a team, it takes very little talent at all to tear down a team, especially because you do have players that people want. Two, it's way easier to try to ask for more time than to actually build a winner. And we've been sold that bill of goods so many times over. So I would really advocate if somebody new did come in, you hit the ground running as fast as you possibly can. But we'll have to find out. So even if you were to get rid of these guys that a lot of people disapprove of, you are not out of the woods. You're not. And I feel more and more as we talk about this that Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders end up kind of being, in a way, a victim of this and not being able to run this franchise correctly. 216-474-0092. All right, I want to get to all you guys when we come back. How are we feeling going into Sunday now that we know that Shedeur is going to be starting? Are we feeling better about this? Did Brian get me feeling better? Did John get me feeling better? I'll tell you if I feel any better from when we started the show. Coming up in 5 on The Fan. KC Roofing.
tennessee.edu/public safety to get started.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Glad we pulled it out. That game's not going to go in the Hall of Fame for the Cavs. It's not smooth sailing right now. I say that with all humility, right? We won the game, great, but we just still a little bit clunky on both sides of the ball. The good news is we're 10-5 and not 5-10.
Getting back to you guys on this Browns situation, but that was Kenny Atkinson last night after the Cavs win over the Milwaukee Bucks. Surfside Cavs Report brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside. Please drink responsibly. I think there's lessons here. I think there's lessons in the wins. I'm fine with this. I'm telling you, it's going to be better. It's going to help you. It's going to be a fist fight of an East. It's not that great of an East. It's going to help you. And I got a spicy ass take for probably another day. Let me share it now.
Spice it up.
I just want to get to the finals once without LeBron. No offense about LeBron. You know I like LeBron. I know that we get political and all that other crap. That's not it. Just, it'd be nice to know they can get there without the greatest player of all time. It'd be nice to know that you can build a team. That's all I ask. Like Oklahoma City looks like the ass kickers of ass kickers. They already look like they're going to win another one, and that's fine. If you were to just go there, I'm not setting a high bar here, even though it's a pretty high bar. We're talking about the NBA Finals for crying out loud. But guys, if they could just get to the finals, even if we got swept in the finals, I'd go, okay, we got to the finals. We didn't have to have the greatest player of all time carry us there. I think that is really a monkey that I'm trying to get off my back that's clinging to my throat right now. It's just like, I love the Cavs. I watched that game last night. Boy, the uniforms and the court made me want to try some orange sherbet. That said, just give me away from that era a little bit. It's a nice memory. I love LeBron, but I'd like to move into the future with somebody else.
Well, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing accomplishment to be able to do it again and go back to the finals. You think about that. That would be you did it once with LeBron in his first go around. You did it 4 straight times, and to now get there a 6th time in our lifetime, like that is pretty amazing. But I asked a poll question about a month ago, and this is for another day. But I said, hey, could the Cavs actually be worse than last year, but then go further in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Because the East is so bad.
Yes.
I mean, it really is a JV conference compared to the West. And the way the Cavs are playing right now, like, they would be in a struggle to, like, get the 7 seed right now in the West. I mean, that's how underperforming compared to the best teams in the league they are right now. Same time, 10-5. They're 10-5, and they're winning games they probably have no business winning because Donovan Mitchell is playing like a beast. And he is starting to, again, play like an MVP candidate again. And last night, it wasn't just settling for threes. Like, he was getting to the basket at will. But they've only played one Western Conference team this year, and it was Memphis, and they almost lost. They looked terrible in that game. So until they get their point guard back, and yet have Max Strus help as well, they're going to play like this. They are not going to have anybody thinking they can win a championship remotely playing like this.
But again, that's not... I shouldn't say that's not my goal when you have the most expensive roster in the NBA. That's going to sound like I'm being excuse-making.
They can barely make any moves.
That's the truth of the matter. They can barely make any moves. I think we will reach a point where we have to have the discussion whether or not that we have to ask Evan Mobley to do what he did last year. I thought that they did a good, convincing job of throwing to the block early.
He turned it over
Jared Allen
6 times yesterday.
I understand that, but damn it, I still have to force feed the situation. Now, the bench guys, I think a lot of people like the bench, and I think a lot of people like the bench, rightfully so. Rightfully so. But that's the goal I'm setting for this year. 216-474-0092.
That's your Surfside
Cavs update, presented by the fine folks at Surfside. Please drink responsibly. Robert in West Palm Beach, Florida. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, Robert.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful, Robert.
So, a quick question. I'm going to try to go quick as possible.
A quick answer.
First of all, I believe like it's a bad situation for Shador and Dylan Gabriel. I feel like both of them had a hard time, especially as rookie. I don't think we ever had like two rookie quarterbacks in one team before. I could be wrong, but I don't think we ever had that. Number one is I feel like Shedeur has a lot on the table. I feel like if he does not perform this Sunday against the Raiders, I believe that he will never get another opportunity again. That's just my opinion. But
if he doesn't do well on Sunday, he'll never get a chance again?
That's how I feel.
Wow.
And the reason why I feel that, because I don't think the Browns ever wanted him. Now, and I know you guys argue back and forth, and I know Cam Newton. I saw the interview with Cam Newton yesterday on ESPN when he said Kevin doesn't like him, and obviously it's a lot of people got their own opinions about that. But I do feel like Kevin did not want to draft him, and the reason why I know about that, because you could tell the whole during the draft when everybody in that
they tried to pass off the face thing. I don't think he wanted him either. I mean, he could have been sitting there with a big smile on his face. He could have looked like the Joker for all I care. I don't think he wanted him either. That said, I don't think that he wants to set him up for failure, Robert.
Well, I'm not saying he wanted to set him up for failure. I just feel like he didn't want Shedeur, and maybe he didn't want Shedeur because of the stuff that comes with Shedeur, or maybe he didn't want Shedeur because he already had his own quarterback. And he knew there was going to be some type of pressure during the season to play Shedeur. Yeah. But I will say with the Browns, I'm a Shedeur fan. I'm going to be honest with you. But I feel like what the Browns made a mistake was in the beginning of the season or even the preseason, they said it was going to be an open quarterback competition. If they knew they was not going to play Shedeur, it was going to be a red shirt, they should have just came out and said, hey, we're going to develop him to the rest of the year. He's not going to play maybe in the next year. They always said, and if you go through from the beginning, they always said it was going to be an open quarterback conversation. Mm-hmm. And even when Joe Flacco was there, Kenny Pickett, that's what they always stated it. Yeah. Now, my third point, and I'm trying to go fast. I think, in my opinion, Shedeur has a chance to be successful. Maybe with a coach that or that believe him. And I feel that, again, this is my opinion, if Shedeur does not play good this Sunday against the Raiders, I don't think he will ever get another shot. Because the NFL already said what they thought about Shedeur. That's why he fell to the 5th round.
Well, I think that with us, and Robert, thank you very much for the call, I think he will get more than just this week. I really do. They only have so many quarterbacks. I think if he does very, very poorly this week, I think there's a realistic possibility Bailey Zappi starts a game for you. I still don't believe that they want to put Deshaun Watson out there. I think that they want to look towards the future, not to the end. Now, I think the pushback on that statement, when I make that about Deshaun Watson, I think the pushback grows each and every week that these guys go out there and struggle. I think you'll see more Dylan Gabriel. I think you'll see more Bailey Zappi, or you will see Bailey Zappi, but I think that Shedeur will get another crack at it, yes. Even if it's bad on Sunday. It has to be just a complete abomination. And this last Sunday was bad and a half. But I think they got to do what they can to make him as comfortable as possible. I think that this could be a scary thing for both offenses. But I think that I'd start off, and I mean, it's going to be a lot of Quinshon Judkins and it'll be a lot of Dylan Sampson. Get you comfortable, get you past the script, unlock the defense the best you can, and then let's see where the rest of the game goes, and don't let the game get away from you. That's how I would script that right now. But we'll figure out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe my opinion will change. But I don't think that Sunday could be good. Or I think Sunday could be okay. I think it could be really, really bad. I don't know how good it's going to be. But I don't think it's the end-all, be-all for Shedeur Sanders. Big thanks to John Greco, Jordan Reed. They were fantastic. Brian Hoyer, you got to hear that. 923thefan.com. We're back tomorrow morning, 6 to 10. Remember, 11 to 1 on Friday. We're at Bomber Sports Card, 203 East Royalton Road, fabulous Broadview Heights. Get on over there. You got Donato's Pizza. It tastes good. We'll stuff pizza. You can take a piece of pizza, and I'll take a piece of pizza, and we'll put it in each other's mouths. What do you think? Be like we're getting married. Be awesome. Get on over there. 203 East Royalton Road, Broadview Heights, 11 to 1 on Friday.
I'd have a very special guest that we are tracking down. Would be a biggie.
It would be a big one.
Would have the whole city talking.
For Mackenzie, for Kayla, for Mitch, for the Slippery Wizard Anthony Lima, I'm Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go Cavs. Go Cavs! Hey.
Sounds good.
Cool, I got on the last show.
This is Boomer Esiason with an Odyssey Sports Minute. The NFL just completed its international series with 7 games staged in Brazil, Ireland, England, Germany, and Spain. More on that venue in the next hour. Australia is going to be our big learning test next year, said Roger Goodell. Regarding the scheduled contest in SportsMed Melbourne, my question, will they promote it down under as American rules football? One must ponder. I'm Boomer Esiason.